Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I am back, and with me are the same old schmoes that you were listening to the last couple of times. We got Jamie and Jonesy. How you doing, fellas?
Oh. Good, mate. Good to see you again.
Yeah, so happy to have the original and probably the best host we've ever had back in the hot seat, Chris. Bring the energy levels once again at 11:02 in the evening.
I don't know, man. It's first of all, I'm going to say I've missed you guys, obviously. But
thanks,
likewise.
But second of all, I'm going to say that I was listening to the episodes that you guys both hosted concurrently, right? And I'm like, damn it, man. Jamie should host all the time. No, Jonesy should host all the time. I think you guys have your own things that you bring to it. That
I thought you were going to stop then and just stop after Jamie. You're like, yeah, Jonesy shit.
Yeah,
I don't want to host again anytime soon.
Jamie should host, and Jonesy, you should just go on extended holiday.
Jonesy, you know when kids are really slow at running, but they still take part in sports day because it's compulsory, so they get participation medals afterwards. And they're like, "Look, Mum, I finished the race," and they're like, maybe they might actually win the egg and spoon race because that's the only thing they're good at. Jonesy's one of those kids.
No,
I don't know what
he's
you're talking about. I never got one of those medals.
I'm being genuine.
You, mate.
In a rare moment, I'm actually being genuine with you guys and saying that you both have different qualities that I think serve the role of host quite well. But anyway, enough fucking jerking you guys off.
My quality is that I'm eating a chocolate Oreo bite while you're doing your intro.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
going to say, if there's any more jerking you do want to, I'm kind of down for the jerking. I'm here for more jerking. Yeah, throw another compliment my way. Just one more. Tease me.
A
real
Tease
one.
me.
Your moustache is almost meeting your neck beard.
Now I... Oh, God. That's my Achilles heel. How did you know? Everyone's looking at my mustache now.
Do you know what's great is you've just managed to commute the more of our audience from the audio podcast side to YouTube than we've ever managed before because they just want to see Jamie's stash almost meet his neck beard.
Do you remember when Leafy used to cover his nose? I'm just going to cover my...
No, his chin.
Oh, his
like
chin.
this.
My bad. I'm this. No one ever knows what's going on.
Wow.
He always did this, didn't he?
For what it's worth, for anyone who wants, I feel like I have to bloody address this now, for crying out loud, Chris. It doesn't grow properly, it doesn't connect, so I have to get rid of it. It's an aesthetic, it's a choice, it's a design choice.
Nah, I think you've got to get some mascara and just fill it in, dude.
Do you reckon I draw it like people do with their eyebrows? It's just, and then eventually I was like, I get bored of drawing them on every day, so I've tattooed them now. It's another thing people do with their eyebrows. I just tattoo the connectors between my stash and my
but
beard.
then I'd love it. You've got to go for a job interview or something, and you just have to be clean shaven, but you've forgotten that you've got this facial tattoo.
It's just the two little bits here.
Yeah, that'd
Also,
be quality.
I feel like I don't have as much of a neck beard as some people in my situation do. I try and come up as much. I feel like you need to see some skin to know that there's a separation.
You've done a good job there. There's no neck beard there. It's actually just beard.
I have to kind of jut out. Look at my one chin.
How about those dudes that have the full carpet all the way down?
John Babb.
John Babb. There's no
John
disconnect.
Babb effect.
The chest hair joins up with the beard hair, and there's no. It's all connected here.
Wow,
I
guys!
heard that all of the mats, those mats that you get at your front door, all of those from every house in the entire world are all made out of bits of John Babb. He just shaves every now and then, and they just get that.
Some seasons he doesn't even shave; he just sheds, and people follow him around, sort of just sweeping it up. It's quite effective, actually.
This is quite unique. I will say this: it's been almost 4 minutes into the podcast. People, if they're just tuning in, will have no idea what we're talking about. And I was actually thinking while I was away, how can we grow our audience? Because we started to lose subscribers because obviously we're just full of shit. But, hey, you know what? We're all for it.
How are you going to do it then, Chris? How are you going to get us back on track?
We're
Back from Greece with a big plan, world domination. What you got? I'm all ears.
I think I left my ideas back on the island, my dude. So,
Back on the island.
I don't fucking know. If you want to listen to this irrelevant bullshit and sprinkling like it's the smidge of gaming on top, then hey, welcome to the Super Show podcast with your host, Chris Joanidis. All right, boys, listen. All of this dicking about is made possible by our lovely, generous patrons. All right? And you can help out as well. I'm looking at you. In fact, hold on. I got a special trick. Are you boys ready? You boys ready for the special trick? You guys can make a difference.
Oh, I like that. I hope you're watching at home and not listening. If you were listening, maybe start watching.
Yeah, if you're watching, I zoomed in on my face, and that was a silent stretch goal. Didn't let people know about that, but once we hit a certain level, I was like, I'll zoom in on my face.
That was the idea that you brought back with you from Greece. You like you
zoom
came out,
in.
you went out with this whole notebook of like potential ideas, and you opened it up when you got back. It's just like one zoom in on face. That's the only idea.
Yeah,
Hey,
sit on my couch and recline.
You do have a new backdrop. New backdrop means new opportunities. Who knows who could be listening this week? An influencer who's going to tell tell the world about this podcast.
Maybe.
I think
Unlikely.
Chris is lying to us, and he's actually moved to the island, and he's just living on an island
my
in Greece.
God.
And he's never came home.
This close, dude. This close. Fuck it out. Coming back to London in this weather is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, if you would like to support all of our trash talk, then head on over to patreon.com/SuperShow. And for as little as $2, you can join our Discord server and gain access to our Minecraft server, which I haven't been on since about maybe 2 months. But hey, I want to go back in because there's some Minecraft news that has just dropped, and it doesn't relate to our Minecraft server, but it's kind of got me, reminded me a bit. But
Wanted to mine and craft.
oh yeah, want to mine and craft and mine. But listen, boys, some people are more generous than others. All right, and
Whoa.
I'm going to read out some names here, okay? And if you'll indulge,
That's a shit way to like cue that up.
no, listen, if you'll indulge me, all right, because I think it's a bit unfair that week on week, one person gets to say all these names, and if you'll indulge me, I think we should all say the names, not at the same time, just in chunks.
Whoa. How are we gonna? Oh, so like you're gonna stop at a certain point and hand it over to someone else.
Yeah, so it's almost like hot potato, all right? I'm going to start off because we've got the fantastic Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, onlyfans.com/Jamie's Body Pillows, a.k.a. Brett, a.k.a. Shellshock, Freddie K. Official, and Hacksaw Book Read. Go on, Jamie.
Then we've got Jesper Cam Dahl Nielsen. We've got Jovella Cujo, Leo Merger, Lonnie Thompson, Manuel Guerrero, Martin Skihan, Jonesy.
Oh.
And we've got Mindful Pig, Nathan Pears, Scary Omen, Starfall Kid, and the two big dogs that I get the honour of saying because I came last is Peaswad and the Dude Abides.
Why do I get the feeling that Jonesy always comes last?
Because I'm a very thoughtful lover.
Boring.
Is that
Unlike
what you
you
want?
two.
Yeah, that is what you want, actually. That is
Unlike
preferable.
you two.
Nah, boring. Get in, get out.
It depends if you're in a hurry or not. If you're, clock watching, Jonesy, then trust me, coming last, the last thing you want.
Are we going to skate over the fact that I knew immediately that Chris was going to stop at Hacksaw Book Read, and the whole thing was purely because he didn't want to say Jesper Camdal Nielsen?
That's not a hard name to say, is it? Jesper Cam Dahl Nielsen. That's a fun name to say, if anything.
Yeah, I'll say I don't mind it. Jesper Cam Dahl Nielsen. I mean, fucking hell.
Theoretically, it could be a soft J, but I think we pretty much
Well,
got
like a Jesper.
Jesper.
There are some Jespers, right?
Yeah, and then maybe the A has a bit of like a, I don't know, like an umlaut or something. So it's like Jesper Calm Hal. And you got to pronounce the H.
You just made that sound South African.
Yeah, exactly. You just made it Zulu or whatever. What's the thing you do with all the clicks and the clacks?
That's probably Kosa, my friend.
Kosa.
Wait, let me wet the mouth. Hold on a second.
Yeah, get that saliva going.
Let's just go.
Hang on, this is an ASMR moment, folks. Either skip or listen.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had the sweat.
now that I've moistened my gob, it's Kosa.
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not bad.
That's pretty good. It's authentic. It's from the source.
There's probably going to be some Kosa dude who's going to be like, that's fucking wrong. But anyway,
Yeah,
I don't care.
true.
Boys,
Joel will probably tell you you're wrong. He doesn't even know anything about it, but he'll be like, actually, no, your pronunciation could be better on that. That'd be funny. Any Swedes in the chat?
hey, he's the only Swede we need, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, the only Swede we need.
That's good.
Joel, if you're listening, you can have that one for free. All right. Boys, before we get into it, we had a very good... We do comments of the week, right? But we actually had a really good request on our AMA section of our Discord, which, in case you didn't know, you can pledge $2 and gain access to. But it comes from Craigie Boy. And he says, hi, guys. I kind of have a question and a discussion to go with it for the podcast. Listen to all your pods, obviously, and don't think I've ever actually heard you discuss what equipment you all have. Like, down
No.
there.
I don't think that's what he meant, Chris. I'm just gonna have to step in there.
No?
No. I think he's talking about PC. He's talking about hardware, which again, not that kind of hardware. Easily confusable, I know. But
I'm still
Chris,
thinking dongs.
He's talking about your specs, if you know what I mean, your specifications.
Okay, yeah. Oh, what, like on our PCs and stuff?
No, I'm talking about the length of your
Ew.
penis.
But that's what I was talking about, dude.
Okay, great minds think alike.
Yeah, mine's wavy like a pasta shape.
Mine's just pencil thin.
You know what the cool thing is? You know what the
Pause
funny
for
thing is
laughter.
now? Is now Jonesy cannot say anything about his penis being like normal or good. Because
Jonesy's just not going to say anything. That's what Jonesy's
Oh,
going to do.
come on, Jonesy.
He's going to sit here, keep inside.
Jonesy's like the reverse of a snitch, the one person who doesn't say anything to make everyone else look bad. Wow.
No, you know what it is? It's like when you were at school and everyone, like one person was misbehaving and everyone gets called into the principal's office and you're all standing there, your heads down and like, you know, hands behind your back. And then the principal says, all right, who did it? And no one says anything.
It was him.
No one says anything, but Jonesy is the one that just kind of like looks at someone.
Yep.
No, I just point at them and go, it was him.
Fucking hell. What a nah.
I'm going to start the next After Dark by asking Josie questions about his member in graphic detail.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you brought up
Making
After
him
Dark.
sweat.
I'm glad you brought up After Dark because that is our Patreon-only podcast where we talk about a whole bunch of other shit that's not necessarily tied to gaming. You could say it's kind of like this fucking podcast. What's happened? I go away for 2 weeks. I come back and there's just an absolute shit show. I had like
when you weren't here, it was fine.
I know.
You've
I know.
come back and it's gone
Clearly,
mental.
It's because I get nervous when Chris isn't here. I'm like, right, we've got to make sure everything goes okay. Are the guests happy? Are they fed and watered? Are they, getting the right amount of airtime? And now Chris is back, and it's like it's all on his shoulders. I can ask Jonesy about his dick as much as I want to.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. But yes, okay, so back to the actual comment. Craigie Boy wanted to know about our hardware specifications on our PCs because we are all members of the PC Master Race. I'll tell you what, boys, I'm going to kick it off because I probably have the least impressive specs. Because I know.
Tell him, Chris.
It's only 9 inches. No. Well, it's because I have a gaming laptop. So even though it's good for gaming, it's going to fail in comparison to you guys. But I have a Core i7. I can't remember what specification it was, but I think it was like a 7th gen Core i7. I've got 16 gigs of RAM, and I have a GTX 1060 with 6 gigabytes of video memory. So there we go. It's a nice little Alienware as well. I'd like to point that out, because I'm an Alienware cuck.
Shout out to
What about you boys? Go on, Jonesy.
Shall I go next?
Yeah, Jonesy.
Yeah, do it.
First off, you've got to say the most impressive piece of your hardware is the Cyberpunk chair that you're sitting on.
Yeah, that's still technically a part of it.
Yes, that is easily the most impressive. I've updated mine really recently, so I'm going to have to try and remember what I've got. But I've got a Ryzen 7 3800X processor.
Ooh.
I've got a 1070 that needs updating. Hopefully with a 3080 at some point. And what have I got? I've got 38 gigs of what is it? Is it the Corsair? Not Corsair.
38, yeah? It's
32.
It's a bit of an unusual...
Did I say 38? 32 gig of lovely RAM, but it's
Nice.
3200
Oh,
as well, nice and fast.
now you're flying.
I also just upgraded my motherboard, which is, I can't remember what it is, a B50 Tomahawk.
Yeah, I'm
Max?
actually feeling the left part of my heart fall asleep as you're talking. It's incredible.
B450 Tom, I can't even remember. Yeah, and that's about it.
Wow. All right.
Although, do you know what I did get this week, which I just put in, which I'm very happy about, is my brand new SSD.
Oh yeah.
Which what do you call it? M2, M4 SSD? It's the other SSD.
In NVMe.
Yes.
Lovely, jubblies. Go on, Jamie. Make it. Tell us your specs in a way that I'm not going to want to take a power drill to my head.
I don't think I
please.
can do that because Jonesy's and ours are Jonesy's and mine, I should say, are pretty similar. I'm just going to try and tell you them quickly so you don't get bored. I'm AMD as well. I've got a Ryzen 9 3900X,
Nice.
12-core CPU, 2080 Super, 32 gigs of RAM, and then like a similar setup, 2 terabyte hard drive, 512 gigabyte SSD with
Lovely.
the OS installed. All that, all the usual shtick.
All the bells and whistles. I will say this much though, fellas. I'm probably not going to buy another laptop after this Alienware. I'm going to sort out the desktop. Now that I'm doing streaming and I'm doing a lot more work from home, like it just makes more sense.
It's one of those things.
Before laptops made sense to me, like.
I was laptop for life, which I know sounds kind of late, but like I honestly thought I didn't have the space for it, and then I'd recommend something my mum told me to do, and I recommend anyone else out there do it. Try and do like almost like a room plan. If you almost do like a top-down version of whatever room you're going to do it in, and literally try and measure stuff out, measure walls, and then measure the things inside them, whether or not they could go anywhere else. And I found that just by like moving a chest of drawers like this thing here, that people can't see if they're listening to audio thing, but it's like a chest of drawers, used to be exactly where I'm sitting. And all I had to do was move it and make one sort of corridor slightly thinner by like a foot or two, and I had a room for my entire setup.
Yeah, nice. All right, there is another kind of element to Craigie Boy. And what he was asking is, let me see. I asked because I have a PC now, and it's stopping me buying the next-gen console until exclusives make it a necessity to get one. Why would I get a PS5 until there are enough games on there? Some games like COD that my mates play, that my mates without PCs play, I will eventually have to play on PS5. Well, I mean, I think everything
on your PC.
I think everything's moving to cross-platform anyway. But it does beg an interesting question, though, right?
Interesting, especially because it's one that I actually, for my circumstances, don't have an answer for yet. I don't know about you, Jonesy, but like, I'm going into this summer, and fucking hell, boys. Which hemisphere are we in? I'm going into this winter, and I'm like, what shall I get what on? I don't know if that's what you were going to say, AJ, because we both like having consoles for the same reasons, but we also both like having PCs for the same reasons. But Craig has kind of hit on an interesting point, which is like, I don't know why in my head Cyberpunk is a PC game and COD is a PS5 game. That's just what's happening at the moment. I can't rationalize it though.
I think it's because you just haven't had the years of mouse and keyboard behind you. Yeah. For me, it's so simple. If it's a first-person shooter, if it's a first-person perspective, it's on PC. It couldn't be simpler. If it's a platformer game, I'd probably prefer it on, platformer or maybe a third person. I'd probably go console.
Right. So a hypothetical Knack 3, for example.
Oh, 100%. No, but like Spider-Man, right? Like, okay, let's imagine that Spider-Man was cross-platform. I'd want to play it on a console rather than on a PC.
I get that.
But like an MMO or a top-down game like a RTS or a MOBA or a first-person shooter, just give me a PC. Just give me a PC. Simple.
Okay, I'm gonna add a couple of wrinkles to this though, because I was a PC gamer, and I would have agreed with you, Chris. Like anything first person, I'm gonna want to play mouse and keyboard, and that's what I'm happy with. However, and I also had a console, but then I remember when Fallout 3 came out, and that to me was the perfect kind of console game because it meant I could sit in front of my big TV with like surround sound system, and because it wasn't a out and out first person shooter, but it was still first person, I could enjoy the benefits of having a controller and sitting on a sofa and being comfortable for hours on end without having to lean over my keyboard. And because of VATs and stuff like that, you completely take away the barrier to entry that I had then with a controller and trying to aim in first person.
Yeah.
I then had the thing of, because I started to play more and more games on console, I got used to that, being comfortable on a sofa, with other people as well, like friends, wife, whoever sitting around you, sort of playing, like gaming became a bit more communal, which it doesn't really do on PC.
Yeah, I get you.
I've now got the situation where I've got a nice big 4K screen in my lounge. I've also got like a 5.1 inbuilt surround, like B&W surround sound system. So if I plug a PlayStation 5 into that is going to look and sound crisp, and I'm going to be comfortable doing it. Whereas I could sit at my PC and it's fine, but I don't know, I lose some of that sort of immersion, I suppose.
I get what you're saying, but like it just seems mad to me though. Like, especially Jamie, you said Cyberpunk. I know you said that you see it as a PC game, but I know that you were still kind of, unless you made your mind up, but you were still kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'd probably get it on console.
Yeah,
right.
I'm still
but like that's mad to me. Like I would take any premiere kind of game where it's the big game that I want to play, and I'd fucking play it on my PC. 100%.
I think that's why I clarified that it's somewhat irrational. I think there's still a part of me that can be aware that the benefits of playing on the PC are going to be playing at higher resolutions, at a greater graphical quality or fidelity, and more importantly, perhaps getting better performance out of the game. And with a game like Cyberpunk, that means a lot to me because I don't know how Cyberpunk's going to run on consoles. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Maybe even, hopefully it's going to be fine after one of the news stories we're going to get to later. It'd be kind of fucked up if it wasn't. But at the same time, I think it's probably, it's a lifestyle thing, right? I have set up my computer in such a way where the thing I've done most, this isn't a humble brag, but it's a fact. The thing I've done most at my PC this calendar year is work. It's a separate station.
Sorry. That's my bad. Sorry. I thought you were going to say something else.
It begins with the same letter. No, actually, I'm not going to. Actually, stop trying to bait me, Chris. I'm going to go into too much detail. But then it becomes this weird mental thing where, like, when I'm sat here, I'm almost not relaxed. I'm doing something. I've like the mics there and the lights there, and I've got monitor, and it's almost I'm playing a game that we're going to talk about in a bit, and we're actually all three of us are going to be playing it on PC. And there have been times playing it where I thought, like, I kind of want to be sat in my armchair with it on the big screen, and I know that's possible. Steph always fucking tells me it's possible with a PC because HDMI out, blah 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 blah. Little switcheroo. It's not that difficult, but there's still a disconnect there in my head. I still like the simplicity of consoles, and the console gaming for me is still emblematic of a more relaxed living room, laid back style gaming experience that my brain does crave sometimes.
I get that. I also have the disconnect, but I think it's a different kind of way, right? So for me, sitting down in front of my computer, kind of, and putting headphones on, right? It kind of takes me away from my surroundings. And it just lets me kind of like laser focus into what I'm doing. So I kind of get like completely immersed, right? But then for me, when I'm on my console and I'm on my couch, it's almost like the fucking world is open to me, and the elements anything could fucking come in and make me pause. And
that's funny.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but I get it. Like it's the same thing, just reversed, flipped and reversed it. So
Cyberpunk's a good example though, because like we're talking about how saying it seems obvious that you should play that on a PC, but like my monitor for my PC is not 4K. It's like it's all right. It's not a bad monitor, but it's not that great. My TV is a lot better. My surround sound system that I've got is much better than the headphones I'm wearing. So and then you sort of say like, what am I going to be doing in Cyberpunk? It's not a first-person shooter. It's more of an RPG, right? So I'm going to be running around, driving cars, running, and I always find controllers are better for that sort of stuff. They're not as good when it comes to shooting, but if you've watched any of the gameplay from Cyberpunk, that shooting is not like it doesn't take any. It's not like what do you call it? A twitchy shooter or anything.
Yeah.
It is cranking clips into people's heads and watching numbers spew out, which is perfectly serviceable on a controller. So
if it's a controller you want, I mean that's an easy fix on a PC. It's just gonna,
no, but see that I don't like that. That as an argument is such a shit argument. Because when you say to someone, you could just plug your controller into your PC, you're like, yeah, because you've lost the argument that someone wants to play it on their console. So the only thing you can go with is now I'm going to sit with a controller huddled over my PC. Whereas
95% of the gaming I did this week was on a controller on a PC. Like,
yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but when you use the argument to someone who says PC's better, it's all about mouse and keyboard, and you go, but I want to play this game on my controller. They go,
no, because mouse and keyboard is only one element. No, mouse and keyboard is only one element of why PC is better, and
PC's better in a lot of respects for sure, but for me, it's not just like the controller. It's not just the graphical fidelity. It's everything taken together. So, for example, if you were going to play like a Total War game or something, it's so obvious you're going to play on PC, right?
Yeah, sure.
If you're going to play Dota or something like that, it's so obvious you want to play on PC.
Yeah.
But as soon as you say to me, like GTA, do you want to play Grand Theft Auto on a friggin' PC? I'm like, hell no. I want to sit on my sofa and laugh as I run around firing RPGs and driving cars and doing stupid stuff.
That's a really... There you go, Chris, using the zoom in again. That's a funny example, though, because when GTA 6 or whatever comes out next, I'm going to want that on my PS5, and for the exact same reason that you just said, Jonesy. But one thing I have done this year for a project that I was working on one point was reinstall GTA 5 on my PC to see how that game runs. And once you've played GTA 5 on a PC, you will never want to play it on a console at 30 frames a second ever again. Because GTA 5, I will say, came out in fucking 2013. I know the PC port came later, but for a game that's fundamentally that old, play that on PC, cranked up, that game still fucking pops in a remarkable way without doing anything to it mod-wise.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But I think talking about, going forward to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, I don't know. I think it's getting the distinction as well is getting smaller and smaller. Like the idea about PCs being more powerful, the return on investment is getting smaller and smaller with ideas like graphical fidelity and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, the return on investment for sure. I can get on that, but I think if you take a monetary aspect out of it, I think you would be surprised the gulf between a good spec'd PC versus, say, a PS5 or an Xbox One X in terms of playing your games. Not One X, Series X.
I'd genuinely be interested if you could sit me down and you could say, because this is the thing nowadays, right? The only thing you can go to on PC, not the only thing, but the main thing people are going to go to a PC is going to be frame rate. Is they're going to say Cyberpunk, which the recommended specs for Cyberpunk
it's
are
not
pretty
just,
low. They're pretty low.
They are surprisingly low, but it's not just about frame rate though. Like that's not all.
Necessarily, but what I was going to say was that it's going to get to the point where that's almost all people can say, because you're going to sit down and go, here's what the console looks like. It's got ray tracing. It's got the graphics like this. It's blah 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 blah. And here's the PC, and they're good. The PC's going to be better. It's going to be better 9 times out of 10, but the difference is getting smaller and smaller. And so what's going to happen is people are going to start banging on more about PC frame rate because they're going to have to, because that's going to be the big difference. When you sit down someone and they can barely perceive the difference between a PlayStation 5 title on a PlayStation 5 and a PC, then you'll start hearing people go 240 frames a second, mate. And you're gonna then I'm out. I
agree with you. Over a certain FPS, it's not going to make any fucking difference to people. But yeah, well, what would be a really good kind of exercise is if we had the expendable income, which currently my income is the Patreon. So hey, patreon.com/SuperShow, is to get like a copy of Cyberpunk on console and a copy of Cyberpunk on PC. We're doing it. No, as an individual, not like I'm getting the one and you're getting another. It's like, so for instance, Jonesy, for you specifically, hey, you buy the 2 copies, one on console, one on PC.
We could do it. We could make the video, right? I could capture footage from my PlayStation 5. Jamie could use his. You got a 2080, right, Jamie?
Yeah.
You were saying?
Super. Yeah.
So we could put those. We could make a video and we could put the 2 things together and we could say, hey, like, let's actually see the difference.
But guys, Digital Foundry's going to fucking do it on day
one.
I'm not saying we don't need to do it. Sonos does it for us.
But I'm not saying that we make a video, and B, I'm not saying watch a comparison video, because watching a comparison video is very different to kind of.
You want to play it, like
experiencing it, because like you said, it's everything, right? It's like sitting on your couch or hunched over your laptop or whatever, or desktop or whatever it is. But anyway, speaking of, sorry, I got to move on, boys, because we're going to be here for like fucking 55 hours, all right? But talking about CD Projekt Red, just to jump forward a bit, because this is what we're doing now, okay? I've come back from the islands, okay, and I'm seeing things in a different light, okay? These podcasts, they need to be like the placid waves of the Aegean, okay? We've got to flow in and we've got to flow out, okay? We've got to lap in, we've got to lap out, we've got to let the tide come in, let it ebb and flow, all right? So we're fucking going all over the place, boys, all right? So CD Projekt Red have been done in for by none other than Jason Schreier. And what is the reason, fellas? Any ideas?
It's not... Yeah, but we know.
My favorite American cereal.
It's not really about him, though, is it? It's about, I think he's just the portal to deliver the news, and he's had a bit of a reaction.
Well, the expression, Chris, don't shoot the messenger? God.
Don't shoot the Schreier.
He's been shot this week. He's been shot multiple times.
Don't Schreier the messenger.
Yeah. I shot the Schreier. No, listen, boys, okay, because it gets kind of deep. So the whole point is that CD Projekt Red previously had said that they would never do crunch for Cyberpunk. Now it's come out that they are instilling a mandatory crunch of a 6-day work week, and who knows how many hours per day in that work week. Okay, in this final stretch, so that they can, make the game as polished as possible. Like, I still believe that technically they could release the game now and it'll be fine, but there's obviously a lot of work to do, squashing bugs, whatever it may be. So you can kind of understand this like last minute thing to make the game as good as it can be. I mean, it's been a long time coming. Jason,
from what I read, they've effectively got to a point where it's been signed off. Microsoft and Sony have said, yeah, the game's done.
Yeah, Gold Master for sure.
So they're all happy with that.
But on the other side of it, you've got Jason Schreier, who's been almost like a, for lack of a better word, white knight for unionization of the games industry because of so many bad practices of crunch, right? And fair enough, I'm on board with that. It's just this kind of like weird kind of middle ground now, because Jason Schreier is telling it as it is and using the whole kind of all of his knowledge of what crunch is and what it encapsulates and how it affects people down to the individual level, and applying it to a game dev who are making a game that is one of the most hotly anticipated games of, the last decade, if it were. And people are not happy about it. People are kind of like sending Jason Schreier death threats because, like, oh, how can you say this about CD Projekt Red? They got to do whatever they can do to make the best game ever. It's a bit weird. And Jason Schreier, while he's right, I'm saying this wrong. I'm fully on board with Jason Schreier, right? He's right for bringing this up and flagging it and putting the onus on CD Projekt Red to kind of explain why they're doing the crunch. For their part,
you nailed it. You said don't shoot the messenger, and effectively he's a journalist who puts himself out there to say, if you have stories that are, or if there's something you feel that people need to know in the gaming industry, here's my email, reach out to me, let me know, and if it's worthwhile, I'll put it out there.
I think it's a bit short-sighted to say don't shoot the messenger, because he's not just the messenger, he's the crusader of it. So
right, yeah, for sure.
It is fair enough. It's like me saying, like, with no prior kind of like trying to help people out in terms of this, giving that news, I'd be the messenger. But Jason Schreier has very much made it almost kind of like his life's work to kind of fix the industry, as it were, right? But it's just this kind of like very weird, tangled kind of fucking thing.
It is weirdly tangled, and honestly, it's more tangled than I thought it would be when the story first broke, because... like, I get it. Jason Schreier is a guy that, for as much as he can sometimes just be doing his due diligence as a journalist, he does divide opinion. And I get that some people don't like him for various reasons, and that's fine. That's cool. That's kind of neither here nor there. But when I saw the headlines, I kind of thought, how disappointing! Another story of crunch, another reminder of how deeply embedded. Lol.
Oh, would you like some garlic sauce with that?
Oh, I'd fucking love some if you're offering. No, it's another reminder of how deeply embedded, I was going to say, crunch culture is within the games industry, and how disappointing that is. And anyone that has read Jason's book knows that, like, it's almost an open secret that games don't get finished without crunch. And that you then get into this weird situation where that becomes disappointing. Everyone gets sort of unhappy and reacts negatively to the idea that people facing crunch, whether it's mandatory crunch in this case, or that awkward, uncomfortable pressure to crunch without it being mandatory, which is possibly even worse from a sort of a weird social and professional standpoint. But it also then invites this second wave, this blowback opinion to have formed amongst a number of people to say, if it's embedded, if games don't get finished without crunch, if crunch has been a part of making video games for the last 40, 50 years, so fucking what? And it also then invites this wave of people, and trust me, go on to any kind of Twitter thread or anything like that about this specific scenario to say, crunch is in every industry. I do overtime all the time. I did overtime for this many days. I didn't get paid for this. And people basically saying, nut up or shut up, this is their job. Whereas Jason tries trying to come out and say, hey, being forced to work Saturdays or Sundays for 6-7 weeks in a row, whatever it is, as a mandatory thing on a game where you've probably already been crunching for however long, because don't forget, this game slipped from spring to September to November, As Jason Schreier has told us, and anyone who wants to see an insight into this in real time, go and watch the YouTube video about the development of God of War. When games don't get delayed, when games get delayed, developers don't put their feet up and say, great, our publisher just bought us another 4 months, now we can work at half the speed for that time. They continue working just as fast, if not faster, for the entirety of that time. That's how this shit works. So I sympathise with with anyone at CD Projekt Red who's suffering as a result of this crunch. I completely understand the perspective of someone like Jason Schreier who wants to shine a spotlight on it, and I just wish there was a little bit more consistency from video game fans who seem so quick to try and normalise this when back in May or June or whatever it was, Neil Druckmann was getting death threats for conversations around crunch culture at Naughty Dog. We make double standards for developers and people around games that we like and don't like. CD Projekt Red are the golden boys. They promise you no microtransactions. They did very nice things around The Witcher 3 and supporting that game. I get it, but you can still take a stand against shit you don't like and shit that shouldn't be a thing. It's frustrating that double standard. Like, imagine what I know I'm talking for a long time here. Imagine if Treyarch fucking tweeted 6 or 7 weeks of mandatory 6-day weeks for all the people working Call of Duty right now. Twitter would fucking blow up and say, fuck Activision, fuck Treyarch, eat the rich, fuck billion-dollar companies. Now it's their precious little Cyberpunk 2077. It's like, well, they can't delay it again. They've already delayed it 3 times. It's only 6 Saturdays. Surely they can do it. And it's like, these guys could be burning out. These guys could have all sorts of mental health problems. They could have families falling apart at the seams. And now they're working fucking 6-day weeks for the next 3 months, 2 months, because they don't want to lose their jobs. It's kind of sad. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a lot to digest. I apologize.
I don't know about you guys, but I'd perfectly be happy with Cyberpunk being pushed to accommodate those guys to not have those 6-day weeks. Yeah. If it's just over 3 months, it's not a long time, like you said. The other thing is, there's Jonesy saying, no, I want my Cyberpunk.
Jonesy's one of the people like, oh, it's just 6 days. It's 6 paid days.
Just fucking do it.
Just finish the game.
I haven't said anything.
It's your fucking smug face, mister.
Work harder.
I will say this though. We ourselves are no stranger to crunch, right?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
As editors, and Jamie, you touched on it. It's not just the media profession that kind of gets in on with crunch, like fucking doctors, fucking construction. Everybody fucking has to deal with crunch. And I think maybe the bigger story here is almost what we found when the COVID lockdown started happening, where people were like, all these articles coming out about working from home, and hey, people are fed up with the actual kind of rat race that we're in, and these insane working hours, and things need to change, and this, that, the other. So, fair play. That's why I'm always going to be on the side of people like Jason Schreier, who, it's like you said, that he's a bit of a divisive figure, but say what you want, I will always root for the person that tries to make other people's lives better. It's that simple.
Right.
If I agree with both of you. I think I suppose the only thing that I find you could even think of contentious in this whole thing, because I think crunch obviously is not a good thing. It's not a positive thing. It doesn't lead to better outcomes for games or whatever. I mean, it's never going to make something better because you had no sleep, you had to work weekends.
Yeah,
you were it's never going to lead up to a better product. I will say that it does seem that the sort of nuance is lacking a little bit, because Jason Schreier effectively, the way that he on Twitter and on in his article, the way he sort of said, CD Projekt Red said they would do everything they could to avoid crunch. Look, they haven't avoided crunch. It was almost like, look, they're liars. Or
wasn't it an actual? There's a direct quote where the guy promised they would never crunch.
Yes.
He said we would. That's what I'm saying. He said we will do everything. I think it was we will do everything we can to avoid those negative working practices. He didn't say I promise we'll never crunch.
Okay.
But that is, I think that's almost as good as saying we won't do it. But then in the leaked email, I think to the CDPR team, he said it was, you could see that obviously they knew they were fucking up. by doing it, but that they felt they had no choice in whatever, because to hit that date.
The dude said like it was the hardest decision he's had to make, or blah blah blah. Something like
he said, I take full
responsibility.
I take full responsibility for saying that we need to do this, but I'm really sorry. We're going to do mandatory 1 day extra, I think it was, a week until the game is released, paid, because like legally, I think it was saying in Poland you can't do it and say you're not getting paid, which a lot of industries do.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the nuance in saying they said they wouldn't crunch, they crunched, therefore they're liars. But there was no accounting for the level of crunch. So it was effectively anything you do to step over that line. Like if they'd asked 10 people to work one weekend, is that crunch? Or if you'd asked 50 people to work 100 weekends, is that? So I can't sometimes get frustrated online, but then on Twitter and articles and things, you are limited to how much you can say.
There is another
Jason Schreier's defense.
There is another element to this, right? So Jason Schreier obviously says, hey, if you have a grievance, hit me up, and I'm building a case, as it were. Now, there's nothing to say that the team working on Cyberpunk, this is kind of playing devil's advocate for CD Projekt Red at the moment. So there's nothing to say that they didn't have almost an internal discussion amongst the teams. And the majority of the teams were saying, like, you know what, we're proud of this game. We want to fix it. We want to work this extra crunch to make it the best thing it can be. Because, hey, guess what? We are going to be getting paid for it. So it might be worth it. And then what you could have is a few dissenters who didn't want to do it, saying, heading over to Schreier and complaining about it. Now, fair enough, if they don't want to do it, and the whole issue around crunch culture is to feel ostracized if you don't want to do it, and how you're going to be perceived, and hey, are you worried about your job security? That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is, fuck it, man, if they go through it in a democratic kind of way, which I'm not saying they did, I don't know, doesn't seem like it, but you never know because we're not in the room, right? But if it is a democratic thing, then at some point you just got to say, I mean, that's what the majority have gone for. So, fucking hell.
Yeah. You're right. It's a weird power dynamic, right? Because you can't have a democracy that says, let's say there's 100 people at CD Projekt Red. If 90 of those people say, we agree to do 1 day a week for the next 6 weeks in order to get the game out.
Yeah.
Those 90 people can't force the other 10 people to work.
Yeah, and
they shouldn't be able to.
100%. But on the inverse, those 10 people that decide they don't want to are going to feel that they A, might be letting the team down, B, worrying about their job security, or C, worried that they're actually just pissing people off, because if 100 people say yes, then that's 100 people doing the work. But if 90 people say yes, that means 10%. Those 90 people need to make up that 10% slack.
So what I wonder if what's happened here is that's probably what's happened, is that a percentage have said yes, a percentage have said no, and then they've gone, well, we need the percentage who've also said no, therefore mandatory. And that's where it gets, that's where you say, what is the nuance? How many people is that? Was it really the fact that 3 people didn't want to do 3 weekends, and they would have had to have delayed the game until after Christmas or something? Like you get to this weird zone.
Yeah, but here's an alternative solution, Jonesy. The single biggest video game company in the entirety of Europe, to the point that they are bigger, financially speaking, than fucking Ubisoft, simply doesn't force anyone to do any crunch. They just delay the game again and let everyone,
of course.
let all their employers work normal working hours and go home to their families.
But that's the other issue.
Because they're worth $8.1 billion and they're a corporation and they're not your friend, even if they're making your most anticipated game. And you don't need to fucking white knight for them on Twitter just because you're looking forward to it.
Of course, no, you're right. Of course, that's
not me talking to you, by the way, Jonesy. Probably not. It's probably not me talking to anyone even listening to this based on what we've said in the past, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. But I suppose the only, if I was going to play devil's advocate, I'd say the issue you have is if you then have a culture whereby you know that game companies will not crunch, so they will extend their the date of which a game's going to come out, that would then become the norm. So then the rate at which people worked and how late they would be doing late nights and weekends anyway wouldn't happen, because they know that if the game's not delivered, because this is the thing, we've all been there, we've all done this. If you have to get a video out on a Friday, the 3rd Friday in October, that video's out. If you know that there's a soft upload, and actually if you don't get it done for the next week, then the video will be done within the next week.
Yeah.
If there was a real flimsy upload and it actually didn't need to be done for 3 months, I can guarantee that video is getting done 3 months later.
Yeah.
So, and I think one of you said it, whoever it was, but every industry has this, and it's terrible for all industries. Let's not just say it's games developers who have it, because we've had it in the media. The media's awful for it. Doctors and stuff, I'm sure, have it. Like researchers, I'm sure, have it. Like teachers probably have it. It must be horrendous.
So I guess you're right in that maybe it shouldn't be a hard and fast thing, and that there needs to be a balance, right? And you're right. If I kind of went back to the environment that we used to work in, and imagine every time I felt something wasn't possible to get done in the time frame working 9 to 5, if I went to Chris and say, hey, can we push it back? And every time I asked, he was going to say yes, because they were never going to enforce any kind of crunch or punishment for lack of hitting goals or targets, or so on and so forth, then lots of things would have slipped much further back than they should have. But I just don't know what the middle ground is there. I just don't like the idea that this has reached
a great example.
Yeah, go for it.
Of what we're talking about, but this is not to promote crunch. This sounds like, but this is kind of as an example of when you don't have hard and fast limits and stuff. You get like Star Citizen. That's what Star Citizen is.
Oh God, here we go.
Because there was nobody to say. It was effectively someone, Chris Roberts, being told the money's unlimited, the time is unlimited, the people you can hire is unlimited, the resources are unlimited. Go mental, and you go from 2 years and a game of like a $40 million game to 12 years and $300 million later, or $350 million later, and it's still nowhere near release.
Yeah. I guess going back to Jonesy, just to wrap up this point, because we should move on, it is what you were saying about, we know if a video was done and the upload date is tomorrow, that you're working throughout the night and you're getting fucking sick. Trust me, I mean, the amount
I did that this week.
Yeah, exactly.
I've also done a literal all-nighter in the last month, to the point where when I got a message at 9 a.m, I was like, yep, all good to go, when I actually hadn't gone to bed yet.
Yeah, but like I also remember working on ATG, and Jamie, you'll vouch for this, is we would work so late into the night sometimes that the security guard had to come into the building, because we're the last people there, to do lockdown for the entire building and say, oh, you guys are still here again. And it's just like...
But then like you go back to what Jonesy was saying, where if someone pulled me aside and said, does it bother you that this is happening? I said, like, nah, not really. Like, I came in a bit late and I took a long lunch and I didn't work as hard as I could have in the afternoon. And I kind of turned up the heat a little bit on myself after 6 p.m. And that's why I was, quote unquote, crunching. I was just working weird hours. And that's why to respect what the sort of the points that Jonesy has made, and that you've made, Chris, I understand that there's flexibility and leeway here, and to go back to what I said a second ago, it's wrong of me to suggest that you just delay games until they're ready, with everyone working 9 to 5 with no bending, because some people like crunch, some people want to crunch, some there's grey areas.
In every kind of content creation that you do, there needs to be structure. Not just content creation, anything that you do, there has to be structure, right? Because imagine, maybe it's like this, right? We know that this game has been delayed multiple times already.
Yeah.
What if they announce, because we saw from the God of War documentary how it kind of goes, where they have a big meeting, a town hall meeting, with the whole of everyone working on the game, saying, this is our release date. That's what we need to do, and we've worked out, how much it's going to take us to do it. Yeah. And yes, it might be a mishandling of management that they didn't manage the expectations right, but it could also be that the workforce didn't work to the expectation that was there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we don't know
and then
about.
So management was supposed to say, okay, well, we'll have to delay the game, and then they have to say again, okay, well, we'll have to delay the game. But eventually there needs to be that it's almost like, guys, we've given you enough rope to hang yourself, and now you've hung yourself, so now it's got to be a crunch.
Those are the parts we'll never know, because as Jonesy basically said earlier, Jason Schreier, who is our mouthpiece for this stuff, his sources are aggravated employees who have shit to say, and they're never going to tell the other side of the story. And that was one of the things that was kind of the more nuanced and complete look on the Last of Us 2 situation was were developers who came out and said, no, we're proud of this. This is our life's work. We're doing this because we want to make the best game of all time. I don't care how long I work. I want to do this. It's voluntary, blah, 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 blah. And it is sometimes a vocal minority who start sending anonymous emails and causing a bit of a stir. And I don't know. I guess all I really wanted to say when I was getting worked up earlier was I'm frustrated when people start making exceptions or bending their own rules or their morals and stuff like that because they're excited about a product.
Yeah,
it was the dumbest thing to say.
I know, I get it exactly.
Yeah. CDPR to say we don't like crunch, we won't do it. That was one of the dumbest things I think because
they were probably already doing it in some shape or form. If you went through their thousands of employees, someone would have said, "Yeah, I'm kind of already crunching, guys."
Because that's the thing. Because in order to not do it, you'd have to change the entirety of like the work ethic around every industry that people would take part in. Like employees, like don't let anyone who's listening to this, don't get this twisted. This is not us saying that the corporations are the ones who need to be protected and the employees are the ones who fuck it up. Employees are taken advantage of to a ludicrous amount, to the tune of billions of dollars every year in unpaid overtime, etc., etc., etc. I think, but then in order to blame like a games company and crunch culture, I think it kind of doesn't look upon the fact that the entirety of the economy is based on the same bullshit. And to maybe look at one individual company like CDPR, even if they are, like you say, Jamie, bigger than Ubisoft, they're still a tiny, tiny fish in this giant ocean, which is a horrendous economy of going, do you know what? The employees have no goddamn choice because at the end of the day, they need their job more than we need them. And if we get rid of them because they don't, do what they're asked to do, we'll hire someone else. And the other people that we get to replace them have no goddamn choice because they need a job as well. And especially tech industries are some of the most brutal when it comes to like, having to undercut, doing stuff under cost, not paying their employees enough money.
Outsourcing, dude. They just outsource everything. Yeah. They'll be like, "Oh, you want to work in Silicon Valley? It's all right. Get some dudes in India to do it. It's all right. Not a
Fiverr."
And even companies that want to do good, like I think CDPR genuinely want to do good. They, at the end of the day, like they're still going to fall foul of the same sort of bullshit because they have no choice. Like they still have to operate in the same sphere, right? They still need to make money on their games. They still have to operate at whatever levels and stuff.
Dude, you're not gonna develop a game for 6+ years just to not turn a big enough profit on it. Like, no ways.
Yeah. And I keep banging on about this recently, but still, inflation adjusted, Cyberpunk will be cheaper per unit than ET was when it came out, and that was one dude made that in 1 month. Like, come on.
You're obsessed with that wrinkly little alien, I'm telling you that much.
It's because he watched the fucking Netflix show, whatever it's called, High Score or Game Over or Level Up.
High Score?
What's it called?
I can't remember. Is it High Score? I think it is High Score.
High Score, yeah.
It's a good point, man. Anyway, we digress.
Okay, well, fellas, from a game that is hotly anticipated to a game that's just released, because now I'm going to weave in some of that catch-up magic, baby.
There are those ocean waves.
Because we all got onto a game, haven't we? In a way.
Yeah.
And that is the Mafia 1 remake. Remake, not remaster. So they fucking rejigged some things. And
I was hyped for this because I think different to you guys, but I'd never played the original.
Oh, Jonesy. Yeah, I played this. Oh man, it's just it was always a good game. Like I just remember playing and just thinking like, this is a perfect Mafia game. Not like Mafia as in like the franchise, but Mafia as in it's what.
When you see those movies and you like read about that world, this fit that. Yeah, let you live in that world and be involved with it. No, I get you, because like I said, I've never played it before, and I've been lucky enough to play some of the Mafia Remake this week, and I've had a great time with the probably 4 or so hours I think that I've sunk into it. It is a phenomenal remake. From what I understand, like I said, I haven't played the original, but it looks absolutely incredible. It runs really well. It's a lot of fun. Like it fits that kind of. It's a bit earlier, but it fits that kind of Goodfellas, Joe Pesci kind of like mafia feel.
Wise guy.
The wise guy. some of the accents are very suspect, but I think that might be
who
because
is
of
it?
the
Who's
time.
Paulie. Paulie's my favorite. Jeez.
Paulie's a good character. What about Ralphie?
His voice.
I got a call for you, Tommy.
I like Ralphie. Ralphie, I thought was cool. Paulie is like,
Oh my God, man! How you
See,
doing?
but some people see that sounds like you're doing a Joe Pesci, and that's why I'm kind of cool with Paulie. The one who doesn't sound Italiano enough for me sometimes is Don Salieri. Like sometimes I feel like he just sounds like an American dude. He's like, Tommy, I want you to go and fix this. It's like, come on, you like put a little little Mamma Mia in there for me, baby.
you know what? You've gone so Jackie Gleason with it.
Wow,
Oh, that's what I said to my wife.
oh. There's a bit of that in the Don.
But
The one I did through me was the cop, the Irish cop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a
that
bit,
accent
a bit
is
ropey.
mad.
We were talking about that a lot in the stream.
Yeah. Can I just say how refreshing it is to actually have a remake of a game that is not a disappointment in almost any way.
Yeah.
Okay. To be fair, the bar, like Mafia's a good game, always was a good game, but it was never like up there, right? So I guess maybe that's the difference. But
And,
yeah,
like,
it's just a straight up great remake.
It was really hard to tell as well in the build up to this game where they were trying to take this remake specifically and then I guess the Mafia series in the future, because you look at what happened with 3 and that obviously got a mixed reaction and didn't get that much love and affection in the years post its release, and then you look at what happened to 2 earlier this year and that was, you know, very much, hey, here's 2 again, which is never a bad thing, but
Yeah.
you kind of looked at, okay, this Mafia Definitive Edition, you were like, how far are they going to push this? And I think the positive thing is that it's really nice that we come out here and react in like affirmatively and say they done more than I kind of expected them to. And like the Digital Foundry video about this game went live today at the time of we're recording. And even like some of the detail they went into in their reflections and their global illumination tech and some of their borderline software-based ray tracing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't actually know how it works, but it sounded all very complicated, and the posh English guy explained it very nicely on the internet to me. I think they kind of went... I don't want to throw around terms like above and beyond, but I think they've just done a really nice job of treating a classic game that a lot of people have nostalgia for with a lot of care, and perhaps more importantly for me than this game in isolation is the fact that the series could very reasonably be back on track now. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
What struck me about it is it didn't feel like a cash grab, right? Which a lot of these remakes, let's be honest, they are cash grabs.
100%.
I look at Crash Bandicoot, I look at Spyro, I look at fucking, what was it, Medieval. Those just felt like cash grabs. Like they did the bare minimum, called it a remake, and then boom, there you go, right? Or a remaster, whatever. But it's just kind of, I was quite cynical about those releases. And when they announced this, I was quite cynical about it as well, right?
Yeah.
The whole trilogy thing. And I was like, why have they done it this way, blah, blah, blah. Still doesn't make sense how they've fucking rolled it out.
The
But-
backwards releases.
yeah, but I'm just glad that Mafia Remake is a thing that exists and I get to have fun with. It's funny, I messaged my one friend back in South Africa, you know, we went to high school with, and
The way you said that, it makes you sound like you have one friend in South Africa.
Yeah.
I messaged my one friend in South Africa.
I have one friend in South Africa. Got him on the blower.
I bet you have hundreds.
Why have you got to hang me out to dry, Jonesy, just because I have one friend? Like,
Well,
that is what
so I'm
you
not,
meant.
I'm not a popular person. So
At least you're consistent, Chris. You've got one friend in England as well.
I
I'm talking about Jonesy.
Oh, me? Is it me?
was gonna say, I
Oh
wonder who
wait,
it
so
is.
you don't like him either? Oh, good.
I don't like him. I love him.
Listen,
don't
me-
do that Tommy Wiseau laugh. That's a
Nah,
good joke. I put
listen,
a lot of work into that
Listen,
gag.
Listen, okay. Steph is the only friend I need in London. Okay, thanks. Anyway,
Steph, you know what? Steph is also buzzing about this. Like, I think you and me were going to say the same thing. Where Steph is another, like you and maybe the friend you were going to introduce, pure nostalgia for this. And he was texting me the first night he played it. It was like, it looks like it's that perfect. It looks like it looked like in my head. But kind of remake.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So what I was going to say about my friend Ilya, shout out. He bought Mafia, the original game, and he actually lent it to me. I had no clue that this game was a thing back in the day, right? And the funny thing is that my friend Ilya is not a gaming person, especially not now. So I messaged him. I'm like, dude, you remember this fucking game? And I sent him the trailer, and he just sent back, well, guess who's playing this game tonight? And then he just sent a GIF going, this guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's just like there's a lot of love and nostalgia for this game, especially if you played it at the point of release, for sure.
Yeah. Now I like. Sorry, Joe.
I was going to say, I like how much I've enjoyed it, having not had the nostalgia for it. Because I think one of the things that happens with these remakes is people play them again, and they with the graphical updates and everything, and even with the bugs and the issues they have, people are kind of blown away, and they recapture some of that nostalgia they had for it, and then they like them probably more than they should anyway.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm playing this through, and I'm like, this is a really good game. And
it's just a good mob story. The funny thing is, the reason I'm most excited about Mafia Definitive Edition, which, for full clarification, I haven't even finished it yet. And when I do finish it, there will be some little things here and there about maybe some of the shooting sequences or bits and pieces that here and there that I'm like, okay, or animations and stuff like that, leftover shit from Mafia 3. But the thing that I'm most excited about was that this is Hangar 13, who, remember, developed Mafia 3 and know exactly what they did wrong with Mafia 3. And I think it's one of the coolest things when a developer says, yeah, Mafia 3 had too much filler, there was too much inconsequential side stuff between the main story missions, and now they've made a narrative-driven open-world game to the point where the open world, you don't even really engage with it. There's even a funny system where, I don't know if you guys have noticed, where if you get pulled over on one star for like speeding or running a red light, you have to pay a fine, but there's no currency in the game. So it's just money that the guy has, because they haven't even bothered. There's no shops. There's nothing. Yeah, but it doesn't need that.
It's like press X to pay fine. Like
right, yeah. But it's because they've slimmed Mafia back down to what those games have always done best, which is, like you say, Chris, focus on an era and a time and place in history that not enough games shine a spotlight on, and they do it really well. Normally, just by taking normal first names and putting a Y on the end, seems to be pretty effective.
Hey,
Paulie, Ralphie, Tommy, Sammy, Vinny, then I don't know.
There's actually something that jumped out at me about Mafia, because you say that, but in the
Luigi,
Tommy is
Jamie.
introduced as
Jonesy.
Tom.
Yeah.
He's introduced as Tom or Thomas, and then people keep asking him what his name is, like when he first sort of gets introduced around, and he keeps saying Tom, and then Don Salieri and everyone calls him Tom all the time. Yeah. But I had the subtitles turned on, and it always says Tommy.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I was like, Sam's another one who doesn't actually get called Sammy, really. I think they all just call him Sam.
Yeah.
But like, Paulie and Ralphie, Paulie, Ralphie and Vinny. Although even Vinny, they call him Vincenzo sometimes.
Yes. Hey, Vincenzo, hey.
Vincenzo.
But on our Discord, actually, a lot of people are either giving it a lot of love or saying that they really want to get into it. And that's just really nice to see. And I said it in the Discord. I said, guys, you know what? Like, this is the time to vote with your wallets, because A, it's not expensive. B, it's a great game to play anyway. You don't have to be a fan of open worlds. But like,
it's almost not like, maybe it changes, because I think I'm about 3 to 4 hours in, and I realise that it is one of those older school open worlds, where the open world always almost looks supplementary to the story, and it's not a world which seems to be populated with like loads of side quests. The world exists to facilitate what goes on in the story of the game.
Yeah.
And you have to almost come out of the game in the menu, go into the free ride mode just to go in and like experience the world.
Yeah.
It's not one of those that says, do whatever you want for 5 hours.
Which is weird,
and then
because
come
it
back.
is a kind of impressively detailed, good-looking world with a lot of variety.
Sure.
Like, you go out to the countryside fairly early on, and you're like, oh, wow, all this is out here.
Yeah. The driving I've enjoyed a lot as well, like the cars and how terrible they are is pretty interesting.
But you also kind of get into it though, don't you?
Like, I love it.
Yeah, you do.
When you know how they're going to drift, you know how you're going to lose that back end around a corner. It feels nice, man.
Yeah,
and you also sort of revel in getting into a new car, because it's not like a game like where every car's amazing. It's you get into one that's just crap, and then when you get a good one, you're like, oh, this is so quick, and you're doing 60 miles an hour. This is so quick. The race that you do, it was genuinely brilliant. I love
the race is so fun, dude. The race is so cool.
That's a classic mission. Worth saying as well. You talked about voting with your wallet, Chris. We're going to sound like we're shilling now. We just like the game. It's only £35 on its own in the UK. It's like it's like a half price game pretty much across the board.
It's decent, man. It's worth it, 100%. Full disclosure: we did get sent codes for it, but that we're not positive on it because we got sent codes. Because I can tell you, we got sent codes for Mafia 2 and Mafia 3, and We ain't talking about those.
I haven't touched those yet.
I got sent codes for Mafia 2 and Mafia 3. I'd already paid money for Mafia 2 and Mafia 3. I think Mafia 3 is a bad game that I never want to play again. But Mafia Definitive Edition means Mafia 4 might happen, and if they continue on this trajectory, then I'd be in full support of that.
Hell yeah.
I must be the only one of the three of us where it happened in reverse. That I played Mafia 3 when it came out, and I played probably a third of that game. I was like, I'm not really getting it. Like, it's okay. It's got its charm, and I like some of it, but it's not great. And now I've played Mafia 1. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This is like a proper Mafia game.
So I think what you did is the inverse of what you did for Mass Effect, then, yeah?
Yes,
because you went to
stop
start
playing Mass Effect to go back. Yeah,
it's what you should have. It is what you should have done with Mass Effect. Basically,
Gone to the start.
Jonesy, not to sidetrack us too much, but there's one piece of news that actually did come out this week. Did you see the news that basically internally delayed is the word we're going to have to use because it never had an official release date, but the Mass Effect remasters have been pushed back beyond their planned November launch, and apparently the problem is Mass Effect 1, and they're struggling to get it to kind of sort of live up to what people
be good.
Right, and they're worried that if people start that trilogy with Mass Effect 1 in its current state, they'll be like, I'm not playing the other fucking two games.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I actually did a lot of research after this is ridiculous. When I played Mass Effect 3 and loved it the first 2 hours and then stopped playing it to go back to play the original, I read online that I shouldn't play the original because it's really bad, so I should start Mass Effect 2.
You should still play the original. Well, to be honest, EA should have just done what 2K did. Remake the first one, remaster the second, and leave the third one to be questionable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you guys play any other games, though? Seeing as we've now segued Waverly into our catch-up.
No. I think you and me have been playing a little bit of something, Chris, in the background of all the Tommy gun firing.
Hell yeah!
So I talked about it a little bit last week, so I'm happy for you to. Let the folks at home.
I guess you're talking about Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Talking about Super Mario 3D All Stars,
aka Super Mario Galaxy, because
for me, not yet. I'm hoping, waiting, praying one day.
Are you going chronologically?
I mean, in order of release, let's say. I don't know what the chronological order of Mario's 3D fucking adventures are.
Fucking hell, yeah.
I thought chronologically could it be interpreted as like, when was Mario the youngest? I don't fucking know.
I'd like to imagine that Mario's always been like a 35-year-old plumber.
Yeah. I reckon it's like Benjamin Button. I reckon in every game he's getting younger, and actually in the earlier games he was much older.
Well, we do know Baby Mario does exist. So
I was going to say,
that's true.
Yeah, I wonder if there was ever a Grandpa Mario. Anyway,
Jumpman is Grandpa Mario.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh god, it's like the whole Donkey Kong Jr. shit, where like the Donkey Kong we have now isn't Donkey Kong, it's Donkey Kong Jr. Because his dad was the real. Oh, fucking fuck off! Sort your life out, Miyamoto. Sort the lore out, and Legend of Zelda 2 while you're at it.
Yeah, but I will say this though. Fuck it. I haven't played 64. I haven't played Sunshine because all I care about is Galaxy. And you know what? I spent £50 on that 3D All Stars collection. Very glad that I did. But I would have spent £50 just for Galaxy. So giving me 64 and Sunshine, two games which I've not played, by the way, for my sins. It's just fucking cherries on top, right? And it's just like Galaxy is so fucking good, fellas, that it is worth the price of admission.
But now you can't go back. You can't go back and play the quote-unquote inferior ones or theoretically inferior ones.
But you know what I would do?
Yourself.
No, because what I would do is I'd say, you know what? I've got half an hour to kill. Let me go and do a world on Sunshine or 64, whatever. Like the painting on 64 and the fucking, I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean.
This makes a conversation we had in the week on WhatsApp even more insane.
Which is what?
Right. A good friend of the show, from Just Interesting, Martin Ruffle, said that he could get Death Stranding for £7, and he was like, should I do it? Chris said probably not, I think originally.
Having not played the game.
Having not played the game. Said probably not, it's not worth it, or it's a divisive game.
No. You see, because you're looking at it through Jonesy lens, which is always a bit skewed. All right, it's like
Jamie's back here to back me up.
It's like a fisheye lens. No, hold on a second, okay? Because he asked, "Is it worth it?" And I said
£7,
and I just said, "No."
No.
with a little bit of tongue in cheek, sure, because what I said is it is such a divisive game that giving it as a giving your own opinion on it and saying yes you should, it doesn't equate. You can't say yes or no to a game that divisive. People
But
just
then
need
you
to
just
make.
said but then you said Galaxy is worth spending 50 quid on.
Yeah, because it is, because it's not divisive.
Okay. Do you know what, I haven't played any of those, and I'm tempted to try 3D Mario All Stars. But I think both of you warned me off spending 50 quid if I've never played them, because I think you said.
Well,
it might
Jonesy,
be a little
I've
bit
got
rich,
it on physical, so I can lend it to you when I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool. Because they're games that I want to play, but at the same time, I only have like you guys to go by, because like I said, I've never played the originals, and I kind of want to. And I liked Odyssey, but 50 quid is a lot of money to stump up for some.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me ask you this: would you pay 50 quid for a follow-up to Odyssey?
I would have to, because it's Nintendo and their games are always that expensive.
Good point.
No, but would you want
Yeah,
that?
of course you
that
would. Of
caliber
course you
gaming?
would. It's not even a question. Odyssey 2, £50 in a fucking New York minute.
Yeah. So what I'm saying,
what is the pause for, Jonesy? Say
Yeah.
it.
No, because it's weird in the sense of I would, because I always want, because on the Switch I always I'd like to play Nintendo games.
Yeah.
So for example, Luigi's Mansion 3 I actually enjoyed. I finished that game. If I'd have spent 50 quid on it, I probably would have been a little bit like, oh, there's a lot of money for what it is.
yeah.
But,
Okay.
But it's a fun game. It's a cool game. So sure.
My point is this, right? Is people look at Galaxy and they're like, oh, it's a Wii game, it's an old game. But I can hand on heart tell you that I genuinely think that its caliber is up there with Odyssey. In my personal opinion, better than Odyssey.
Cool.
But I can understand I have maybe a bias. But with trying to take my bias away, I can tell you it is of a quality and variety and robustness, cracking out the dictionary here, on par with Odyssey.
Okay, that's good, because Odyssey is, don't get me wrong, is a very well-made game.
Yeah.
And it
Would
really
you
does
agree,
stand
Jamie?
up.
I need to play Odyssey again with this new collection. Galaxy again with this new collection. I think on paper, yeah, I think it helps if you played it at the time. I think it helps if you had that initial hit, because that helped all of those games. I like 64 and Sunshine a lot more than I should, because I played them both when they came out.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Especially because I was younger. It's kind of like a weird sort of proportional graph. Like the younger you are and the less you understand video games, the more accepting you are of the world's worst cameras. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But,
It's good to know. It's good to know that it does hold up
The
a
point I'm
standard.
making, though, is if you took any of those games in that 3D All-Stars collection and you reskinned it as a follow-up to Odyssey, like, we haven't released this game before, and you buy it because it's the new Mario game, you would have a hard time believing that Odyssey or Sunshine are the follow-up to Odyssey, but Galaxy very easily could be a follow-up to Odyssey, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Because I was genuinely impressed with Odyssey. I was genuinely impressed by how, like, what they'd done with it and how far they'd gone, and a lot of the very clever things like the 2D elements and the 3D elements and how that whole world came together. I thought was fantastic. So that's good to know. That's good.
Galaxy is also incredibly smart if you're seeing a lot of that stuff for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Right.
Galaxy was Nintendo on top form. If Sunshine and Flood, which is the water device that kind of changes that game up from other comparable titles, if that was them at their kind of least innovative or their least successful in terms of their innovation, Galaxy is a smarter game than I think a lot of people give it credit for, to the point where Odyssey, the only really direction they could go was, let's throw everything at the wall. Every single kind of world, dinosaurs, tanks, blah, 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 you name it. Because Odyssey, sorry, I'm getting them mixed up, Galaxy had gone to space and it had messed with physics and it had messed with things in ways that you didn't expect, and it created a very memorable game out of it.
Video Game Donkey actually had a very good video that just kind of really blows open how much is in that game. It's mad. Jonesy, I would recommend actually that you watch it, because that might sway you.
Although, I'm going to say it now, lads, if I'm still playing 64 by this time next week, one of you needs to smack me through the webcam, because I will be hating my life. I need to get that game. Peaswad from our community said in the Discord that he'd finished 64 and was playing Sunshine, and I almost cried. I said I want to be there.
him.
Well, you know, life is in a bad place when you really fucking want to play Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Just get me out of
this,
64.
This is the funny thing, though, right? Because all the reports I've been hearing about this fucking Sunshine port is that it's just as broken as it was on the fucking
Chris,
GameCube.
do you know what I want? I just want my camera back. I don't want some little fucking Lakato, whatever this motherfucker's called, in a cloud going, sorry, we can only move in 3. Which angle did you want? Oh, you don't want that one. I don't want to lose my depth perception every time I take a fucking jump. I can't handle it anymore. I don't know.
That was my biggest problem with the idea of getting 3D All Stars was each game needs to be worth a third of the price of entry. And what I was really worried about was 64, mainly 64. But also Sunshine was like, because I know Chris had spoken before about how good Galaxy was, and it was like, if 64 and Sunshine are not worth, I suppose, what am I saying, like 30 odd quid, then I would feel like I'd been shortchanged in buying.
But here's the thing.
It's more like 25 for Galaxy, 15 for Sunshine, and 10 for 64, right?
Here's what I've got to say now that we're going up on it. And Jonesy is either going to smile and nod and sort of get it, or he's going to throw his arms up and be absolutely fuming. Super Mario 64 is one of the best games of all time. Slowly, and now I'm slowly walking away.
I can get behind that sort of opinion, though. Like, I've had that where games I've really enjoyed in the past. Now, if you played them, you'd go, "Oh, this is atrocious," because you didn't have access to the mechanics and stuff that you have now, and bad cameras were ubiquitous back in the day.
Yeah, like I said last week, you didn't even have a right analog stick on the N64 to complain about a camera with. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Super Mario 64, one of the best games of all time.
Also, you got to remember that it's like one of the, I think it was the first major jump into 3D platforming.
Yep, 100%.
I think there'd been like a handful before, but like not
like that.
Not AA, triple A kind of games like Mario obviously is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, fair enough. They got a fucking
pioneer
pioneer at someone.
Surely Crash Bandicoot beat him to it.
Apparently that new one's good.
Yeah, it's
No, I mean the original
getting
was
some good.
I don't know. When did Crash Bandicoot come out? 97? I've probably got that wrong.
No, hold on.
Earlier.
Yeah,
I was 12, so
Crash
How old
Bandicoot was.
Will you work out then, Jesse? How old were you when you were
96,
12?
97? When the PlayStation 1
96. There you go. I was a year off.
96.
Yeah.
That was the first game I had on the PlayStation.
And do you know what's
In
mad?
fact, they were both 96. So Mario 64 beat Crash Bandicoot to the market by a matter of months.
Yeah.
Ooh,
There you go.
so close.
Trivia.
That is interesting. But that you, yeah, okay, fine. What is interesting is the leap from kind of Mario 64 to Ocarina of Time, which was the next kind of big 3D open world kind of hub-ish kind of open world thing. It's kind of mad to kind of see the leap and how much they learned from it. But anyway,
Ocarina of Time, also one of the best games of all time. Also one of the best games of all time. Thoughts, Jonesy?
I haven't played it. I've never played it.
Your thoughts on two of the best games of all time?
I have not played either of those games, so I couldn't tell you.
So welcome to the gaming podcast with two gamers and Jonesy.
No, by then I was well and truly a PlayStation only at that point in my life.
Fair enough.
Well, like we said, you had Crash Bandicoot then, you still got it now. Apparently that new one is good. I might buy it.
It's been getting good reviews.
I've got a lot of stuff on my plate at the moment, games-wise. Not helped by the fact that I played about 30 hours of Warzone in the last 7 days.
New season,
losing
baby.
sleep over it. New season, not even just the new season, just like we accidentally got back into the rhythm. We accidentally got back into the swing of things.
Into the rhythm. What? Okay, Dr. Disrespect. Jesus.
I mean, it feels like it sometimes, dude. Like 9 or 10 p.m. rolls around and you're waiting for that roll call. You're waiting for it's like being in the firehouse waiting for the alarm to go off so you can slide down the pole, save the day, and that's what I do, kilo in hand.
You love a bit of pole. All right. Well, going from one of the best games ever made, in the Mario 64 discussion, to some would argue the best game on the Switch, which is Smash Bros. Boys,
Smash Bros.
There's some new fighters, and I can see Jonesy's glazing over already.
Do you know what, Chris? I'm going to do you a favour here in podcasting terms, and I'm going to try and be your resident Smash Bros enthusiast, even though I played Smash Bros Ultimate for about 20 minutes before never touching it again.
This is great. Well, you'll be pleased to know then, as such a fan of Smash Bros, that Minecraft is coming to Super Smash Brothers.
Hell yeah. It's about damn time, motherfucker.
I mean,
do you know what? I read a tweet. I'll join in for 1 second. So I did read a tweet where someone said, mad watching a creeper blow up Mario or something like that. And I was just like, I couldn't care less about Smash Bros. Shit like that.
Man, watching that trailer, it was even worse than that because it was fucking Sonic that hit Mario into the fucking stratosphere so much that he crossed the games.
Unbelievable.
That's fucking
typical scumbag Sonic, really.
Yeah. But basically, it's Steve and the female counterpart. I think it's called Alex.
Okay.
Is that right? I don't know.
I believe it.
Minecraft shit. And also Enderman and the zombie are fucking in it. And there are Minecraft levels and Minecraft music. And it all seems very Minecraft. And I'm okay with Minecraft these days. But I haven't been on our own Minecraft server for fucking months. But yeah, as I mentioned at the start of this podcast, I'll probably jump back into our Minecraft server just to kind of see how much has fucking changed. And maybe finally build myself a bed for my fucking man cave.
I need a bed.
I haven't forgotten you didn't have a bed yet. There have been some rumblings of a reunion on the old Minecraft realm as we haven't fought all the dragon shit, the end, and all that stuff that I don't really know about. We need to rely on our resident Minecraft enthusiasts to fill us in on. This seems like a cool thing in the meantime that benefits Smash Bros. People more than it does Minecraft people. But am I weird in kind of thinking that I looked at this when it happened and saw the reaction on Twitter and kind of thought, this was almost kind of inevitable, like Microsoft and Nintendo's relationship. It got to such a point where this wasn't a surprise, or is that just me? I'm not trying to be out like Mystic Meg or something like that.
Dude, to be fair though, right? Like when Minecraft came out on the Switch and it had fucking Mario skins, like a reciprocal crossover was inevitable.
Right.
What place do you put it in? Fucking Smash Bros. Because where else are you gonna put
everything? Ends up in Smash Bros.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I will say, like, if I'm sounding lukewarm on Smash Bros, it's because if I had the chance to sit down with like 3 mates and play Smash Bros at any point in my life, I would probably love it because that game has got a lot of charm and it's a lot of fun and it is a very good looking game, etc. It's just that I've never really had that opportunity, so that's why I'm a little bit.
Yeah, dude, I will tell you, Smash Bros Ultimate is probably the one that I've been the least interested in, even though it is by large margins the best one, and that's purely because, as you said, I just don't have people to sit down and play with it. Like, okay,
is that the last? Is that the last one? Is that the most recent one?
Yeah.
That's the one on Switch.
Yeah, it's one on Switch.
Oh, so I own that.
Yeah, me too. I own it too.
And I've played it, and I've played a lot of it. I did all the training. I was learning about the whole thing. I've done a lot of the single player stuff, but that is not a single player game. It is a multiplayer game,
and it's not an online multiplayer game either. It's fucking a couch co-op. Not co-op, but it's a couch game. You know, and
do you know what it reminds me of? Like Super Bomberman back in the day. Like that was such a good local co-op game where you could play against it and multiple other people. And Smash Bros would be the same for me, but like I said, I just never had the chance.
Playing that game online, like with fucking faceless people, it just doesn't fucking work, dude. It doesn't work at all. So
were they in an accident, like a car crash, or the people who lost their face? I mean, like, what's the story there? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were that many of them out there, but fair play to them, still gaming without a face. It's a tall order, but you know,
there's a man with a face.
You have to admire the determination on their part.
Yeah.
If my kids were a bit older and they had mates coming around and they wanted to play a game, Smash Bros on the Switch would be a great shout. I'd be like, let's get some more controllers.
But would they not have faces?
They would have faces. They would have their own faces.
So is that a prerequisite for you for gaming on your couch? Is you have to have a face? I mean, that's pretty.
No,
I
wouldn't turn away a face.
Nah, that's kind of ableist, person. Jonesy, and I don't know, dude. You
Actually,
can't down in my books.
Yeah. It depends. If they had no mouth and no nose, I wouldn't want them coming in because if they died because of suffocation, I could be held accountable. So I'd probably not want those people. At least if they had an air hole.
I think I saw a proverb about that. I have no mouth, but I must smash brothers.
But you're also missing one very crucial thing of this, Jonesy, is you would actually want that to happen because then you could entirely reenact Weekend at Bernie's.
Well, it's a good point, Jonesy. Think about it.
Entirely would have to go to the beach and all sorts with this little.
You know, no jokes about this, and the reason why I brought this up is because Weekend at Bernie's has been on my mind. I was thinking about
Why?
it. I don't know why, dude. It just the thought got in my head when I was on holiday in Greece, okay, and it was like,
Did you see a topless woman on a beach and
No.
you thought, if only I was a dead guy, I could pull her bikini top off
No,
and
I
I
was
would have
just-
felt...
I was just thinking to myself how fucking mental it was that Hollywood made a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's. What happens with the rotting corpse? Like I just.
Do you know, I don't think I've seen the sequel.
It blows my fucking mind. Yeah, it was
think I've
cool.
only seen the
No,
original.
the sequel was cool, and I don't remember much about it, but I remember at one stage they got like some voodoo woman to do a spell on him, and then he reanimates and he dances whenever there's music.
Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds amazing.
It's mental, dude. It's mental. Like actually,
Anyone
like,
who's not weird, anyone who's not weird and hasn't seen Weekend at Bernie's, it is a film about an old guy who dies, and then a couple of young guys who need to carry on the pretense that he's still alive, and so they use him like a puppet.
yeah,
to
they kind
make
of like
people
prop
think
him
he's
up
alive.
like either side, and then they just kind of like wave his hand and shit, and they put
It's
sunglasses
a great
on him.
idea for a fucking movie when you think about it.
It's fucking cracking, dude. But that's like the peak. There's like late 80s, right, or early 90s, where it's like the peak Hollywood cocaine ride, where all these producers are just so fucking smacked up that they're just like, you know what, we're gonna make a movie about a fucking using a dead dude as a puppet.
Yeah. It was a good era. The best film of all time came out in 1989, so you don't have to tell me about
Uncle
the...
Buck. There we go.
Yes,
Oh,
of
Uncle
course.
Buck.
Just did it for you. All right. But I was just thinking,
The
like,
people already knew. They already knew.
but how mental. We should do like a fucking Twitch watch along of Weekend at Bernie's 1 and 2 as a fucking marathon. That'd be fucking
That'd be
sick.
fucking quality. You
That
know,
would be cool.
I almost watched my first one of those the other day, and it was a bunch of people sitting down to watch. I think it was the first Resident Evil film. And
That's
I
a good
linked-
film, dude.
Yeah, I was up for it, and I was thinking actually I could see myself sitting here and watching them for the most part a lot of this movie with these two talking over it, and did all my Twitch Prime Amazon bullshit, and then said, yeah, this film's not available in your region.
Oh,
And so I
pure-
basically just had the
Dude,
option
that
of
sucks.
sitting there with a not available
just
in your
chat.
region thing and two talking heads there talking over a movie I couldn't see or hear. And I was like, probably not my idea of a Friday night. So
Man,
I
that's
think I'm
fun.
going to move on.
we should look into this because I think Weekend at Bernie's double bill for Halloween would be pretty
Hey,
sick.
yeah.
dude,
Yes.
I'm there. Watch party. We can make it
Yeah.
happen big time.
But yeah,
It's
Am
a
I
cool
right in saying
feature.
if you had a VPN, though, you could have logged in and said you were somewhere else, and then you could have watched along?
I could have. To be fair, I do have a VPN, but sometimes I can't be bothered to use it for like
Right.
little things here and there. Like,
Yeah,
if I'm
non
Understandable.
It's like
non
actually
porn, non torrent uses.
Right. I sat there and Jonesy, I know you might have to scratch your head at this one, but I sat there and thought, you know what? Not being able to watch two people I don't know talking over a Resident Evil movie from 20 years ago might actually not ruin my evening. So I'll just move on with my life.
Yeah,
I don't know. You know, I thought, why don't I just do literally anything else?
Absolutely. Anything else would be more productive than watching two random people not like watch a movie.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, I will tell you that I'm a bit sad because for some reason I had to go to the fucking Weekend at Bernie's angle because Jamie actually gave me a perfect segue with the faces thing because it leads perfectly into our final
shit.
piece of news.
I know, yeah,
And I had it in my mind that I was going to do it, but I was like, you know what, Weekend at Bernie's is too good. But yes, talking about faces changing, fucking they changed Peter Parker's face in Spider-Man.
They changed Peter Parker's fucking face in Spider-Man.
Changed Peter fucking
And
Parker's
no
fucking-
one cared.
Oh,
well-
Jonesy, I don't know if you've heard, a lot of people care.
Dude, the internet's fucking erupted in a spew of vitriol. It's fucking mental.
You know how we all thought people were just kind of being difficult and being argumentative and just being annoying when it came to like when they would complain like, oh, this person's they've turned them into a woman, how ridiculous, or
Yeah.
they've made them a different race, and you're like, oh, get over yourself.
Yeah.
They've gone to the point now where it's like, oh, they've changed Peter Parker's face ever so slightly, so he looks ever so slightly different.
To
It's
be
like,
fair,
who
it's quite a
cares?
no. Hold on. To be fair, it's quite a difference.
No, it's not though, is it? It's like
Chris, my 23-year-old protagonist looks too young now. How am I meant to believe he's been Spider-Man for 10 years?
Yeah, it's funny though. Like Jamie, you alerted us to the fact that this happened on our WhatsApp.
Yeah.
and
Because
I
when
think
the news flashed up, I was like, oh shit, what?
yeah.
So I was like, I told you guys straight
because
away.
it's kind of a weird thing, right? But I think all of our reaction was like, oh, That's weird. I wonder
Do you
why
know,
they've
my
done
first
that.
reaction was-
and
my
like
first
that's
reaction was-
the extent of it, right? We didn't
Yeah.
fucking go to fucking Insomniac's, knocking on Insomniac's door, going, "Give us our Peter Parker back. This is
I
ridiculous."
want my face back. I want my face back.
Do you know, so my first reaction when Jamie shared it was, "Is it different?"
That's the most Jonesy reaction in the world.
I told you.
I've platinumed that game, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Is it?"
But this adds credence to my theory that that you are face blind, Jonesy. So
Oh. Well, he does. Again, we know he hangs out with faceless people, and that's probably suits him quite well because
it's true. Yeah.
you can't tell normal people apart anyway. So
Yeah.
might as well be faceless.
I think I've got an idea, guys. If a second lockdown doesn't happen, and we do a weekend at Bernie's kind of thing, can I dress up as Bernie?
Oh God.
Right? As
Do
my
me and
Halloween-
Jonesy and I need to
Yeah,
green
yeah,
screen
you gotta, like-
screen ourselves like this.
You want us to puppet you? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
but you know what's going to be? No. Like we'll go out for it and you'll do it. But you know what the beauty of it is you guys are about twice as tall as me, so I'm just going to have dangling legs. You guys are going to be propping me up like this.
It'd be
Dangling
like
legs.
when a kid is holding their hands with their parents and they're swinging them back
Yeah,
and forth. It's
I'll
like
just be like this. I go 1, 2, 3.
that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm up for that. But the thing is, one thing before we get away from Peter Parker, and it's actually something that you said at the time, Chris, and other people have said since, is do you think their reasoning for this, or the excuse they've come up with, at least in terms of what they've told us, is bullshit or not?
I think there's an element of truth. So what they've said,
tell
so
people what that actually is.
what they've said is they've gone back and they've kind of completely reworked all the models in the game, right? Like, because they're able to higher fidelity kind of textures and features and textures and whatever, blah blah blah. What they did is they said they recast Peter Parker's face because the previous one that they had didn't have a full range of motion to match the voice actor's face. So they got another face actor.
Yeah.
But
It seems like the voice
It's the same actor, isn't it?
Say again?
Isn't it the same voice actor?
So
it's the same voice actor, yeah.
The voice actor,
Yeah.
I think the voice actor, that Yuri guy, also did facial capture for it, but they have realised apparently something in the jump from PS4 to PS5 and the something around what they're doing with the models nowadays meant that they needed a new face to literally change this other guy's face into this face that better matched the performance of that this guy was giving, almost meaning that the old model couldn't somehow capture all the nuance of the performance that they captured from the act. I don't know.
But that totally makes sense. Like, because if you don't worry about polygons around in certain areas of your face because the hardware can't represent that, so why would you bother like rendering all of that stuff out? Like, if it looks okay in the game, you're not going to bother. But then you go, oh, we can smash it out of the park in next gen. Therefore, we need a more complicated model.
okay,
For me though,
but then the
does
question
it look more like the voice actor?
Huh?
Have you guys looked at his face and looked at this model and said, does it?
Yuri.
Of Yuri, or
Of Yuri, yeah.
I know what he looks like. Yeah, he's an older
Yeah.
dude, so well, not old like I wouldn't say older dude. I make him sound.
But-
Yuri Lowenthal.
yeah, something like that. But Jonesy, to your point, why then wouldn't they just take the same person that they had and redo it instead of getting someone completely new, right? Because he's done it already. He knows what he's doing. Fucking
I thought they
Spider-Man
did.
shit.
But they're using the same VO guy,
Same
Yes.
VO guy.
and now they're mapping his face.
Like
No.
imagine this, Jonesy. Like I'm making a video game about I don't know. Let's say I'm making a video game about Tom Cruise's life story. Now that's a bad idea because it's a real person. Let's say I'm making a I don't know. Let's say I'm making a video game. I'm butchering this. Fucking hell.
Jesus Christ.
Lads, okay, wait, Chris, sit now. Everyone, calm down,
Okay,
quick.
No,
sit
imagine
down,
you're
listen.
making a video game about known
Chris,
murderer Matthew Broderick. All right.
No, because that's a real person as well. Jonesy, let's say I'm making a video game and I say, look, I want you to be, for the protagonist, the voice actor, and I also want you to do the facial performance, like smiling and crying and laughing and stuff like that. And we'll
Yeah.
pick up those nuances, but it's not going to look like you. I'm going to pick a whole separate person and it's going to be their face, but all the movements and shit, the voices and yours. Now
Yes.
they're coming up and saying, actually, we want to change the face because the old face we chose, you did stuff with your face that didn't look right on this guy's face, so we need a new face.
that to me kind of makes sense in the idea of if the face that they wanted to look like Peter Parker, they didn't want to look like Yuri, but they said we want it to look like Peter Parker. This is who we're going to model Peter Parker on. But we don't need like the complexities of an actual face, so we can model it on this dude's face, and his mouth only has to do this, right? And his eyes only have to do this. So then they say, well, hold on, now we need a higher fidelity model, and we can track all of Yuri's mouth, and we can get all the nuance of his movements. Having, like, as you guys have done as well, having worked in like things like After Effects and editing software, if you could have a model, like a wire mesh model or anything that captured movements of specific parts of people's face, to then have to graph that onto another face is a real pain in the ass. It'd be so much easier to effectively model the face of the voice person, and then you have a one-to-one representation, and then you get the nuance, and you get the way the lips move, and you get the it makes sense to me to do that.
This is
if that's what they did.
This is why I'm kind of on board with it, right? But then on the other side of it, it's like, yes, so then they had to find a very specific face to match that facial performance, is what they're saying.
But why didn't they just use the guy's face, Yuri's face?
Well, because Yuri's like 50 years old.
No, but I mean not hit lot to make it look just
I don't know enough about like.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get on the horn to the fucking technical director.
No, but I think I know what Jonesy's saying. Like, why didn't they just like get Yuri's face, like, and make it younger or change it?
Because he didn't have a Peter Parker look. That's why.
Yeah, but we're talking about like video. When you're making faces in video games, they don't need to be. You don't need a model for every face you make. Sometimes you just make a face. Do you know what I mean?
Also, you could take like his mouth.
There's no guy walking around who's a one-to-one double of Kratos because Corey Barlog was like, that's the face I need. They just made a face. So why don't you just make a face or change the face? I don't know enough about that shit to say. I don't know.
That's what I find a little odd.
But so my point is this. Okay, so now they're saying, okay, they've had this dude's VO and face capture, whatever. Okay, and they need a facial skin. Like the skin I'm in, okay, to kind of fucking go over it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, like Silence of the Lambs.
No, like that fucking Antonio Banderas fucking film.
The skin, well, that's kind of that film's kind of about something different.
You mean
they don't really?
Well, you mean his face off.
Do they change his face in that?
No,
he must do surgery on his face in that to make him look more like a chick.
Now you're talking face off because they have the skull of Nicolas Cage.
I'm talking about you. Are you not remembering literally Silence of the Lambs, where Hannibal Lecter cuts another guy's face off and puts it over himself, and then peels it?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
To be fair, lads, we've all done okay there. These are 3 good points of reference. We can all give us. We all deserve a pat on the back.
Okay, so moving on with my point. Why is it such a coincidence? Okay, so if it was so difficult that they had to find a very particular face to map onto it to be like a perfect thing, how is it that it kind of looks like Tom Holland?
Yeah, that does look like that's happened on purpose. That doesn't look like that's by accident.
In a way, not that I care that much, because like I said, my reaction was like, oh, that's weird, I wonder why they've done that, and that's about as much as I have a personal investment into it. But in a way, I kind of feel that if that is the reason, just fucking say it. Who cares? Yeah, we changed the face so it looked more like Tom Holland so that sell more copies.
Yeah.
Cool.
Disney were getting unhappy that it looked too different, so we changed it.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Mickey Mouse bent me over and put his little mouse stick in mine. What, you know.
But if you're going to do that...
We need him to look more like the Peter Parker that's going to be in Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers game, because we need continuity.
But then what I don't get about that is if they're going to do that, just make it look like Tom Holland. Like, just be explicit and go, we want it to look more like Tom Holland.
No, because then you have to pay Tom Holland, and they do not want to do that.
That's the big bucks, boy.
That's true. That's fair.
That's the big bucks, boy.
It just happens to look like him. That's weird. Yeah. It's like when James Franco was in Spring Breakers. He was like, no, I just happened to look like Riff Raff and like millions of other... I didn't... Just inspiration, dude. Get off my case.
Yeah. But it was Ellie in Last of Us and...
Yeah, Ellen Page. And she was like, they stole my face. And Naughty Dog were like, we're just going to quietly change what you look like over the course of the next year, because their game wasn't out yet. But Insomniac's is, so they have to not so quietly change it.
Yeah, fucking hell. But did you hear the other weird bit of Spider-Man news? Not related to the game, but related to Spider-Man.
I think I know what you're going to say.
The movie number 3 of the fucking Homecoming saga, where they apparently are bringing back Jamie Foxx from The Amazing Spider-Man as Electro to be in the next new Tom Holland Spider-Man film, which people are they're kind of saying, oh, it opens up the Spider-Verse and whatever. But man,
wasn't that film awful?
Yeah,
it was really bad.
And Electro was terrible.
First of all, if you're going to bring back anyone from that film, you bring back Paul Giamatti's Rhino. Let's get things right from the get-go.
Didn't he die of a drug overdose or something?
Paul Giamatti?
Yeah.
That's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
They're all the same.
Balding fat white dude who's good at acting.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they're at with Spider-Man movies at the moment, like when it's not, with regard to the characters who are involved and all the bad guys there. I mean, it's so over the top with them.
Again, and this is kind of like going back to what we were saying about the Batman. If Tom Holland's Spider-Man was a clean break, then that would kind of all be fine. But then this now does bring weirdly legitimate things about, like, okay, Jamie Foxx's Electro has literally already fought against Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But now he's coming into a continuity where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man literally never existed. So you have to now get into bullshit of bringing him in from other dimensions, which, by the way, DC are fucking doing, because The Flash is going to open up some portal, and Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman are going to come back to Robert Pattinson's Batman. Meanwhile, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker's probably never going to come back, because you'll never get him to do a fucking sequel or be a part of any of that shit. Like, it's all bit of a mess. But then
there was also like the Morbius. The Morbius thing was also fucking crazy.
Michael Keaton's Vulture, right?
Yeah, but then they showed that there were like posters of fucking Sam Raimi's Spider-Man all over there or some shit. It's like it's bizarre.
And then Chris, you know what the cherry on top? You know what the cherry on top is? There's literally, this is all happening alongside another like parallel Spider-Man series, literally called Into the Spider-Verse, which is about the Spider-Verse. So now we're going to have two parallel series, one animated, one live action, about Spider-Verses.
Yeah. So
my least favorite thing about comic books is the multiple universe thing that they do in order to do. It's literally have your cake and eat it. Do whatever you want, have no consequences, reset whenever you want, and I can't stand it. It's the one thing I dislike about that
because
whole thing.
It takes away any kind of consequence, right? Like it was the whole fucking Avengers Endgame issue. It doesn't matter whatever happens at the end of that, because it's just going to fucking be undone.
And you don't even know if the Avengers you don't even know if the Iron Man you saw in Iron Man 1 is in the same universe as the Iron Man in Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 and Avengers.
I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit and say that I think Marvel, considering how many plates they were spinning, did a good job of keeping all that stuff on one track and getting us all to Endgame safe and sound. I think what's getting mixed up now is that a lot of this stuff is fucking... I'm not going to try to like fucking point fingers, but Sony are fucking a lot of this up.
Yeah.
Because they tried to do it with fucking Venom. They introduced Venom in a world where Spider-Man didn't exist yet. Now they're trying to bring Spider-Man into that. Morbius is also Sony. And now we know, as you said, Chris, Michael Keaton's Vulture and allusions to older Spider-Man is in that. Like, Sony felt like they failed to get in on the ground floor for cinematic universes, and now they're like, what if we used a multiverse as an excuse to kickstart ours by paying old washed up white guys to replay old characters and bring it back? At the same time, DC are trying it as well. Like,
the exact same thing.
Just like, because all you're really trying to do is you're trying to get as much star power in one fucking film as possible. You want as many actors for you want your Avengers Assemble moment. If you do a multiverse, you skip right to it. Now all of a sudden, Michael Keaton's involved, Ben Affleck, everyone's coming back in one fucking movie. We've done it.
The problem with here as well is the MCU. Like, those were good movies. Like, I think Iron Man, I really enjoyed. I like Iron Man 2. I like Iron Man 3. I think the Thor movies weren't bad. You put all that together, and you're like, do you know what? They weren't perfect, but they managed to create something, and they managed to give a consistency, like you said, Jamie. The reason they recast half these people in in the Batman films or in like the Spider-Man films or in whatever was because they were shit and they needed to refresh them and they wanted to change what was going on. To then just kind of go hit reset and then just put them all together in one multiverse thing is like a massive cheat.
Guys, I think you're missing the point here, okay? Because all of this opens up the door to a world of possibility, okay? What I am personally looking forward to is Daniel Craig and Sean Connery in the next James Bond. James Bond.
You joke, but fucking crazier things have happened. Like, stranger things have happened.
Can you imagine a James Bond like multiverse where all the Bonds are together? And George Lazenby turns out to be the bad dude, and they all have to get together and fucking.
Is he dead? Are any of them dead? I thought.
Yes, Roger Moore's dead.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, that's fairly recent, isn't it? Yeah, shit, my bad.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Rog. My bad.
Given that we're talking about crazy stuff, I know we want to wrap up relatively soon.
Yes.
But can I tell Jamie a crazy story that happened recently and see what he thinks?
Yeah, you can.
Which is
Brace, hang on. Let me prepare myself. How crazy are we going here?
It's not that crazy. It's
Okay.
it's kind of wacky.
It's
wacky. Okay.
Potential non-murderer territory.
Oh,
It's
you piqued
potential.
my interest. If we're adding to our rose gallery of known murderers, then sign me up.
Almost no murderers. Okay, so
Cool.
Jamie hasn't heard this story, which is why I thought it might be fun to sort of end on. But okay, I say fun. It's also quite serious in some respects. So we're not doing it flippantly, but it is kind of crazy. And we were borderline YouTubers at one point. So
listen, Jonesy. All I can say is this, okay? Death as a concept is a serious thing, but people make jokes about it, okay?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
All right, good.
I mean,
Let's go
also,
into
This story is about Boogie to 988, and I've met Boogie at E3 when we went there, and he was a lovely bloke, and he said that I will go far in the games industry because of my cool accent. So it's nice to talk about people that you've met.
And then fast forward a year and a half, and you're unemployed. So there you go.
Boogie is a liar as well as anything else. I'm excited for this because I've also just noticed that in our little podcast document, there's one bullet point. We do bullet points for all the news stories. It's literally just Keemstar, just one word, bullet point Keemstar, which Jonesy presented me with a wacky story and a Keemstar bullet point.
I'll keep it quick because right. So what's happened, Jamie? Is,
hold on. Can I make a request though?
Yeah.
No. Okay. No. Just carry on. Well, I'll get the request later.
So look, we'll do this quick. We won't be too serious.
Yeah.
But okay. For the last few months, apparently, Frank Hassel, who's a guy who was on YouTube, who got kicked off of YouTube, has been giving Boogie some grief because he blames Boogie for his YouTube channel being removed in some respects. And apparently this has led to a Reddit forum where people are sort of saying stuff about Boogie, and Frank Hassel's apparently, again, been riling people up. Allegedly been riling people up. He's, according to Boogie, he's also in the last few months threatened him with the numerous things like this is Frank Hassel threatening Boogie. He's threatened him with like rape, gagging him, beating him up, all sorts of horrible stuff, coming to his house and doing all sorts of things to him. So anyway, this is sort of, it's YouTube fare, it's beef, it's online, it's the sort of stuff that does happen, but it kind of cranks up a notch in the last couple of weeks because Frank Hassel turned up in Boogie's hometown, which is apparently Fayetteville, Arkansas, if I'm getting
Well,
that right.
you just doxed him, but okay, there you go.
No, everyone knows that, and I don't know his street, so that's fine. So he turns up. He then takes a picture of himself, tags Boogie in it, saying, "I'm coming for you," which Boogie has a really negative reaction to because he's like,
I think
the dude
anyone would.
Anyone would, because he has travelled, by this point, America's a very big country, he's travelled thousands of miles to be in Boogie's hometown. It could have been coincidence. It could have been that he was there anyway because he went there and he used it as an excuse to hassle Boogie some more. But it got a little bit more serious because, as you saw, Jamie, Keemstar got involved, and the drama alert. I mean, Keemstar is the drama in a lot of these stories, so
Yeah.
But he effectively orchestrated a debate, which it was not a fucking debate, but he orchestrated a debate between Boogie and Frank
Joe
Hassel.
Biden. Oh, what? Sorry.
I was going to say, the second biggest debate that wasn't really a debate that happened this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I listened to it, and it was not a debate. It was effectively Frank Hassel saying he's coming to Boogie's house and insulting Boogie and calling him all the names under the sun, and Boogie repeatedly just yelling at him, "If you come to my house, I will kill you," saying like, "I will use castle doctrine." He even says at one point, "I've spoken to a police officer and they say that I'll be in my rights to shoot you. I've got a gun. I'm locked and loaded." and then makes a lot of good points, like
John Wick 4.
and says, "I'm a guy with mental issues that I've not hidden. I have PTSD. I have all these issues. I've got anxiety disorders, and you have been messing with me for months, and I'm in a really bad place. Please leave me alone." Which I think you can go so far, right? You can only say so much to someone. So then this all kicks off.
Listen. Dogs will usually bark and growl before they attack, right?
Yeah.
Jamie might disagree, but it's a fact.
I don't even let them start to the barking and the growling. They're dead before they've even got to that point.
But there's warning signs, is what I'm saying. You give people adequate warning, I think is fair to say.
And this was definitely, I think, adequate warning. Like he was He said in no uncertain terms, I'm afraid, I'm worried for myself and my housemate and my dog. He's worried for her as well. I don't know, he's worried about the dog, but he's worried about all of this stuff. And he's like, I know you're near me, you're near my town, or you're near my house in my town. Please leave me alone. Like, this isn't funny. I'm not joking. Leave me alone. And I genuinely, were listening to that ridiculous debate, I felt sorry for Boogie in the sense of it had gone to the point where he was like, I don't think this is funny. Leave me alone. I'm actually genuinely worried. The dude turned up at his house, like the next day or whatever, knocks on his door, starts yelling at him, calling him names again. Filming it. You then get this super weird situation where this guy, Frank Castle's filming it. Boogie is filming it from inside his house. He also has a camera, like a Bell camera outside
like a
his
Nest
house.
Cam or some shit, whatever they're fucking called.
Exactly. Recording everything. And it gets to the surreal point where Boogie's going, okay, all right, mate, if you're really not going to go away, I'm going to get my gun. And he goes and gets the gun. He opens the door and says, like, you've got to leave, otherwise I'm going to have to shoot you.
Yeah, and he's pointing the gun at him as well.
Pointing the gun at him.
Do we have pictures?
There's a picture of it.
There is video of it.
No, but you got to understand, there's the most meme-worthy image that's come out of it. And people have been photoshopping this image of Boogie holding a gun, like staring down the barrel of a gun in the most ridiculous things. And I feel kind of bad for laughing about it, but yeah, fuck, you got to find the humor in it.
Boogie himself
otherwise,
said
it's just so fucking tragic, right?
Boogie said the best thing to come out of the situation were the memes, so I think he would appreciate like you saying that.
Yeah.
But so there is video of it, but there's only one picture I think released because the video has all gone to the police, because the police are now investigating this, because the situation got to a head where the guy, Frank Castle, wouldn't leave. Boogie was saying that he was genuinely threatened and had the gun out, and Boogie said, I'm going to fire a warning shot, and then in like 30 seconds I'm going to shoot you. And he literally fires a shot over the guy's head. The guy then, I think at that point, realizes this is serious. Someone else says the police have been called, and the whole thing breaks apart. Police have now been notified, and both guys are under investigation. I guess Boogie for firing a gun, and this guy Frank Castle for 3 months of sustained abuse, harassment, turning up at his house, etc.
Stalking.
This is one of the most surreal YouTuber stories I've heard recently.
I kind of think I know which way the law is gonna fall on this one, but hey, you never fucking know.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the state by state rules about like discharging a firearm. Or how relaxed or how tight they might be, but like that sounds like some borderline stalking shit on the other dude's part.
Harassment at the very least.
Once you show up, the thing is that once the guy shows up at Boogie's front door, he's shown and proved to everyone that the whole thing from going to that part of town and all the communication that built up to that point was in service of him eventually walking onto Boogie's territory and confronting him face to face.
Yeah.
And like I think there were probably things about the early stages and trying to, from what it sounds like, pin Boogie for what happened to his YouTube channel and stuff like that obviously like he got attention for it. I'm sure people have been backing him up, bigging him up and taking his side, and I think he's feeding off a lot of that. But I think we're all fucking rational, sane humans, right? And we all have that thing where we're kind of putting ourselves in someone else's shoes, and there's the point where we say, nope, I'm out. Yeah. And that happens when you're in his shoes long before you get to Boogie's front door and you're knocking on his door shouting names at him. So no matter how Boogie might be playing up his mental fragility, or no matter how over the top or a bad a reaction it might have been to fire a warning shot or even pull a gun to begin with, like there's one kind of incendiary personality in this situation. There's one person who's making this happen.
Yeah.
At least in the terms of how that physical altercation sounded like it played out. I don't know anything about what either of them said online or how much they were stoking those flames, but what a weird one, man.
It's
so
mad.
strange.
Yeah, it's mad. I think it's worth iterating. Never go to a YouTuber's house.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Or anyone's house that doesn't want you there.
Yeah,
just
exactly,
stay away. Like it's funny. Jamie, you nailed it. Like there's a point at which people sort of say stuff online, give people shit, do whatever, and I think we understand that does happen.
Yeah.
There is a point at which you travel to make something happen in the real world, right? And for some people that'll be like traveling 10 minutes down the road would be too much of a thing, or trying to bump into them in a public place because you live near them would be too far. Like you shouldn't do that. People get you shouldn't do that because it will create a physical confrontation. And then you're forcing one of those people to back down in a physical way. And then it's not funny. It's not online. It isn't trolling. It's none of those things. You turn up to someone's house that you've traveled thousands of miles to get to, banging on their door, calling them names. Like, yeah, man, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know why
there's
Boogie
plenty of hours to kind of say to yourself, this has gone too far.
Yeah, man. I mean, call the police. I think in that situation, immediately call the police. This guy's turned up my house. He's been harassing me.
Yeah, but hold on. Like we said, Boogie, to his own admission, is not mentally stable.
From what he said. But because that to me is like, that's never going to end.
Sounds like this other dude's not. What's his name?
Frank Hassel, I think.
Frank Hassel. Sounds like he's not particularly mental stable either. He's either not mentally stable, or he's one of those people that's like so in deep on his own character, his own like what he's putting out there, what he's presenting, that he's almost lost himself inside it. Like some fucking man on the moon shit.
I think he's a dude who used to from what I read, he effectively had a channel on YouTube where he would like confront people, and I think I saw a video of his where he basically orchestrated to meet up with a guy who the guy thought he was meeting up with an underage girl. He was like he did some videos like that. Where he then would go and meet them and chase them around going, you're a pedo. But then I think he also just messes with people in general.
Yeah.
Who he perceives as being worthy of harassment. And he decided that Boogie was worthy of harassment.
That's weird, dude.
Weird. I'm on the dude's Twitter now, and suffice to say, like,
don't do that to yourself, dude. It's going to be such a fuck up.
It's just like it's just weird.
He's gone quiet apparently, in that because they're both under investigation now. Police.
So he hasn't tweeted himself for like the last day or two, but in the last like 8 to 6 day hours, he's retweeted a bunch of shit. No, he has done some tweets himself in that time as well.
It's weird.
Looks like
it's very strange.
Motherboard, which was like Vice's tech kind of site, reached out to him for comment via email, and he sent them back a picture of a giant piece of shit in a toilet.
Wow. So clearly a stable genius.
Yeah, he got them. He punked them big time. But I guess that's the thing. That's the internet. That's the internet nowadays, right? Like sometimes, like personalities like these attract people, for want of a better way of putting it, and people find it funny or engaging and get invested in that story and the narrative. And like, I don't know, it's not, like I said earlier, or it's not something I can necessarily identify with. My brain doesn't work that way, but clearly it's something that happens.
Man.
He's getting thousands of likes on these tweets from a few hours ago about this situation. So
it gets weird as well, because I'm sure, we talk about the news and stuff, and we like to talk about things that are kicking off. It did make me uncomfortable as well when you have someone who's as big and influential as Keemstar as well, who has the clout to get both of those guys on there to talk. But obviously, it was never ever going to be to resolve anything. Like he sat there and let them just yell crazy, insane stuff at each other.
Dude,
I think
Keemstar is like fucking Jerry Springer at this point. Come on.
To be fair, he kind of is. I mean, it gets weird because you say, when does it reach a point where he should use his platform in order to try and improve the situation? I wouldn't say that he necessarily has to do that, but at the same time, maybe not facilitating this kind of horrendous situation.
Yeah, but sometimes a tiger can't change his stripes. So
yeah. Then hey, I see that. If those two dudes like contacted us and said, "Hey, do you know what? We've heard the podcast and we both want to come in and have a debate," I'd be like, maybe.
I'd be like,
we need the exposure. No, I don't know. I've taken Chris' advice and closed that Twitter feed just because it looked like it was going to be potentially a bit of a black hole that kind of sucked me into God knows what depths of the internet. And
the problem is this, right? It is fascinating. And the more you go down into that kind of hole of depravity, you just fucking get swallowed up in it.
But you can get fascinated by something you don't engage with. And this is actually kind of a conversation we've had recently as between the three of us about something very similar to this, and by extension other weird things and like elements of cancel culture and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you just kind of want to be an observer. I don't know if that makes us bad people, but I don't want to like jump on either side of that bandwagon, but...
Yeah, it's the voyeuristic tendencies of humans, right? Where you're just kind of like, you're just kind of, you're interested in the outcome.
I had to get involved recently. I'm very much a voyeur, But then I was on Twitter.
Why do you say that
Voyeur.
word like that? You say that like you're a
Voyeur.
fucking
Yeah,
French
he says it like a
pervert.
fucking pedophile.
You say it like you're also twirling your mustache and looking at a young girl at the same time.
Nice. It was. I was.
Yeah,
it was-
sorry, young woman.
young woman.
Clarification.
It was one as well. I saw. I was down a Twitter hole. I can't remember what the thing was about. But someone had doxed somebody. Literally like every bit of information about them. But it was it was obvious it was the wrong person. And it was not the same person. So they literally dropped their email, home phone, where they went to school, like every bit of information about this girl. And there was people saying, I only live 10 miles away from this girl. I'm going to go pay her a visit. And there was only about 100 likes and retweets. And I was like, this is insane. Like, it's obviously not the same person. Like, it didn't take 5 minutes to figure that out. And I actually got to the point where I was like, I have to report this for being like doxing. Because if I didn't say anything and this person got killed themselves, got whatever happened to them, and then
dude, that's fair enough.
Twitter took it down. Twitter deleted got rid of the account and doxed them. And it was so obvious it was the wrong person as well. So I was like, shit, is that like her ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, but also,
who's
dude, you
just trying to get her or
But
something.
you forget this thing, right? This is how fucking tangled Twitter is, because one person can post that and one person can retweet, or let's say two people retweet it, but then that person that retweets it can be seen by a person who can retweet it again, who could have millions of followers.
So the person when I saw it, it had been up for about, I can't even remember how I fell down the hole, but it was like half an hour.
Yeah.
And there would have been like 200 likes.
But you
And
get,
so I was like, it's a matter of time until someone, like you said, with loads of like followers that retweets it, and it's seen by tens of thousands.
Exactly.
And it was really bugging me that all the people who were liking it and commenting were missing the fact that it wasn't the person.
Yeah.
Like I said, it literally wasn't the person. I was like, I think I commented and said, this is not this person. This is obviously a different person.
Jesus.
But man, it was mental.
I think you did the right thing, Jonesy.
Yeah.
The first and last time I'm gonna do that, but also fall into one of those mental holes where you're like, what is going on this platform?
Man, the internet's a wild place, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, man.
All right, boys, listen, we've gone over the 2-hour mark, so I think it's a perfectly fine time to put a bow on this one.
Hell yeah.
All right.
How long has it been running for? I haven't even been able to keep track.
2 hours and 5, somewhere around there.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I can live with
it's a
those
good one.
numbers.
It's a good one. Right, I guess the only thing that's left is our little code word. So, thinking hats on.
I'm trying to think what would have been the notable things. We had the whole weekend at Bernie's and faceless people.
You just say like weekend at Jamie's.
No, because with the last topic we've discussed, I don't want to have a weekend at Jamie's. I'm not having an open house. Please, no one come and visit me. You'll be bitterly disappointed.
Should we just have weekend at home?
Weekend at home.
That's so boring, though. Liven
All
up
right.
a little.
How about this? What about don't hassle me?
No, because now you're kind of tapping into the whole. You're trying to spark a revolution, Chris.
Spark a revolution.
I've settled it. The next thing Jonesy says is the code word.
No pressure.
I love this. I love this energy.
Okay, but hold on. But Jonesy, before you say anything.
He's not like, no, Chris, literally the next thing he says, so be careful what you ask him.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm not. Can I just say, could you boys just pull one of these?
I don't I'll be honest, Chris, I don't remember where I left mine before when we were playing it. I'll try it and see what happens.
Just do it. Good. I think, yeah.
I don't have it.
Oh, yeah, Jonesy can't
Oh, and
I
that's
can't
what
do
it
it.
is. It's I don't have
do
it.
it. Jonesy, do you know how I feel
I don't
about
have
that?
it.
Oh, yeah, wait, so that's our code
That's
word
the
now. I
fucking
don't
code
have
word.
it.
I don't have it.
I don't have it. Oh,
I
God.
don't have it.
My
Oh, God. People listening to the audio version of this are just like, what the fuck is going on?
No, hold on. I got to set
Yeah, but
this
if we
up.
play with this too much, people like there
I
are
gotta,
some
I
people
gotta
who
set this up
listen to
nicely.
this.
Wait, I gotta set this up nicely. They're gonna be like this. Okay, hold on.
Okay. Oh wow, yeah,
Ah.
blinking white guy without
Blinking
the blink.
white
I
guy.
like it. It's like the not blinking South African. I just want to extend a heartfelt apology to anyone who is listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, any other podcast platform of your choice, because the last 5 minutes or so might have been an absolute washout, but I promise you, they are comedy gold. They are comedy gold. It's been worth every penny. I promise you, they are comedy gold.
I need to figure out how to do it. I don't know what I was doing.
I don't know if you do need to, Jonesy. I'm never bringing this bit back. Chris is gonna keep doing it. But
I fucking am.
Do you know what the other thing
This is gold.
You two fare better than I do under intense close-ups. Like my skin and my kind of my general like look is not made for that kind of scrutiny.
How dare you, sir? I completely disagree. What people don't realise is this is about as the same it is to deal with Chris in like WhatsApp groups and things anyway, because he deals like 70% of the time in memes. So now that he can just punch in his
Chris
own
exclusively replies in GIFs. So I suppose the fact that we've entered this territory should be the least.
It's because it's like it's the best way to communicate. Like there's the written word.
Isn't.
There's the written word, and then there's video.
No, you don't use video. You just use GIFs and random memes.
GIFs video though, kinda.
Yeah, GIFs.
No, because there's no context or content to them.
A GIF
half
is video.
a second of nothing.
A GIF is video.
I think literally, Jonesy. Unfortunately, you've worked yourself into a corner here.
Bloody hell.
Jones has given up. Ever since he botched the keyword for this week, he's done. Now, Chris, no, we're taking
okay, fine.
Now we've gone from being entertaining to now some people.
Yeah, don't pull that out, Chris. Leave it in.
At least one person just threw up in their mouth.
Yeah, but for every person that throws up in their mouth,
I don't want to finish the rest of that sentence in my head. I refuse to.
Can we finish this podcast, please?
I'm busy making memes, Jonesy.
Can we tell people what time it is?
It is 1:35 a.m. in the morning.
It's 1:35 a.m.
I have to get up and do lots of work tomorrow. So
do you know what time, lads? Do you remember what time I agreed to record this podcast at first? I recorded to agree it this afternoon/evening. It's 1:30. I was meant. Oh.
He was meant to play Warzone.
No, I actually. You know what? I'm a fucking professional, and I already told them that I'd be recording tonight, so I wouldn't be there for Warzone. Thank you very much.
No, Jonesy, it wasn't the Warzone. It was the 98 tabs of pornography.
Look, when you guys get friends and or porn that you need to know your whereabouts, then you can talk to me. But until then, you can keep living your sad little lives.
OnlyFans. That's what he's talking about. That's the porn you have to let know you're not going to be
here. I said,
here.
hey guys, no close-ups of my arsehole tonight. Sorry, I've got a big recording to do.
Wow. Okay, so hold on. What was the code word? I don't have it.
I don't have it, or I can't. I don't have. Yeah, I can't do it. I don't have it.
I don't have it. I can't do it. I suppose I have those things.
I don't have it.
Well, there we go.
It's too late.
It's going to be the most confusing comment section ever. There's just going to be like 100 comments, people going like, I don't have it.
100 comments? You're fucking optimistic.
Okay,
10.
4.
10.
Well, okay, here's the thing. What if I comment it 100 times? Then I've fucking trumped you. Suck my dick.
If you do that, then maybe I will suck your dick, sir.
Chris, can you please... This has become like the world's worst after dark. We need to end this podcast.
I'm just looking back on this podcast as a whole.
I might just leave.
Can you imagine if that's how it ends? Josie just turns his camera off like, no, I'm done. I'm stopping the recording.
I'm out.
You don't have a choice.
Listen, I don't know what you guys are talking about, all right? Because this is fucking pure